Well, you look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since they carve nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading.
There we go. There's our new one. It
looks so nice.
Huh?
It looks so nice. And E-Girl knows the music.
Well, and E-Girl knows the music. So I was messing around with it, and then I realized I made it in one of the Adobe suites, and I only have 3 layers because I was just doing it in the Restream or whatever on Adobe, so I couldn't add some stuff I wanted to do. So I was like finagling but it came out all right. I was always an iMovie guy, and Adobe has kind of started to take over my iMovie love. So.
That might be a tutorial I need to get from you when we have our next summer armor party.
Yeah. There is the man. John, you didn't see our new intro.
Oh, dang it.
Late to the party.
Yeah.
We felt bad starting late because E-Girl had already found the music. So, we actually started right on time today.
Right.
Well, we're like wizards in Lord of the Rings. We start exactly when we're meant to.
Yes. Well, I was thinking today because I was talking to a guy at work, and I was thinking today, like, we should do, because we're trying to do Mando Madness, but talk about foundlings.
Well, that's Mando Madness, especially after today's episode.
Right, because we're, in one sense, we're all 3 foundlings for each other. You know what I mean? Like each other. We're like in the literal and the Star Wars sense. And Marty, who's like a brother to me, he's a foundling. I would have never met Marty if it wasn't for the 501st and trooping a Toys R Us Clone Wars toy release in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, of all places. So,
well, that was during one of the heights of toy awesomeness.
Oh yeah. Oh, and if you want to if you just look at the toys, like I know it's sacrilegious for someone, Marty McFly. Well,
it's Marty McFly.
Marty is who does Chewbacca. So if you watch any of my videos with Chewbacca, but he does own a DeLorean, and it just got done at the shop. It is now roadworthy. His DeLorean.
Really?
Yeah. It just needed they had those stupid it's car time with the Inflatable Falcon. They had those stupid Audi. I think it was like part Audi, and they just kind of threw parts in those things sometime. And it had a weird fuel thing that just went bad from sitting. And he took it to a mechanic, because I looked at it. I was like, Marty, I don't want to wreck a nearly mint condition DeLorean with my wrenching abilities, So
Hulk hands.
Yes. So yes, he is Marty McFly. But yeah, I was thinking of foundlings. So if we want to talk, I mean, again, if anyone's watching this show, I'm at the point we shouldn't even have to say spoilers. Like just watch Star Wars, if. But
Well, before we get into that, do you want to do some of our other traditional segments?
Okay, yes. Segment away. What do we got?
So
Mm.
I haven't done any trooping. However, I will be doing something troop related this weekend.
Okay, what is
I'm,
that?
I'm getting together with the Pennsylvania Maviola clan from the Mando Mercs, and we're going to be working on our set pieces and props for upcoming convention season. And just so you guys know, I almost fell on the floor when I got this text message from Heather earlier this week, where she sent me a picture of Bo Katan's helmet sitting on her laptop, and it's now in the shelf behind me. And it was a follow up. I asked her if she would be interested in building the armor, and she said yes. So Heather is going to
There you
start
go.
working. Heather's going to start working on a Bo-Katan kit, and I'm working really hard to convince her to do season 3 Bo.
What's different?
Oh, we'll talk about that when we get there, but
Okay.
because it's in the Foundling episode.
Dude, I have a set of blasters you can have somewhere in the garage.
Oh, okay.
I 3D printed a set because I have the Bo-Katan armor.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have the
Well, the files or the
I have the
actual armor
files. I printed some armor, and then I wound up it kind of got set aside. So I think I sold a whole complete set other than the helmet of Bo-Katan armor. I think for $25 because I just needed to get it out of my house. I didn't have the jetpack, but I had everything else. I was just like, someone offered me 20. I was like, just get it. I just need room, you know.
Yeah, so we have a troop coming up, a quasi armor party this weekend, and she's going to go with me to talk to some of the other lady Mandos to work on measurements for the soft goods and everything. And then April 1st, we have an armor party set up.
I don't know what. Again, I'm just going from Justin Sonnenfeld head to 501st, and he uses the Mando jumpsuit. Cosplay Sky or one of them. They have a really nice Bo-Katan jumpsuit, and I don't know what they range, but that stuff is pretty nice. Like, talk to someone who made the costume, but you can stitch rip all the goofy armor that comes with it off of it, and just put the Bo-Katan armor right on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed in the chat, but Heather is listening to us and watching us right now.
You know, I saw that helmet that's a beautiful helmet. Well, yeah, that I like the new Bo-Katan, and I've seen the new Sabine, so I can't wait to do the live action Sabine. I'd like to do the live action Sabine for Zoe and probably the Bo-Katan for Seth. That could just be like, what? I can sit down and walk and not have to stand here for an hour and a half. I won't know what to do.
And you had some troop time this week, right, John?
Mm-hmm. I did my first doubleheader last week.
All right, let's hear
it. So I will preface this with I have never been more tired for days after in my life. But I had a Cub Scout troop that was unexpected. It was a lot of fun. However, it was longer than we all thought, and we were in a high school gymnasium, so I was cooking.
Yeah, not much airflow in those rooms.
Yeah, but it was a great troop. Apparently, they all love Kylo Ren, so that was nice to walk into. They were really excited that I was there. So,
well, what angsty preteens wouldn't like Kylo Ren?
Well, these are Cub Scouts, so they're the wee babbies.
Did you say, "Hey kids, I killed my dad"? Did
that come up in conversation?
Here's my badge for killing my.
Yeah, I'd have to rack the memory, but I don't think that came up.
Yeah, here's my laser sword merit badge.
But yeah, so I did that, and then the next morning on Friday we had our St. Patrick's Day parade. That was, of course the yin, the yin to the yang, where
Hot
it
cold.
was. Oh my God, it was so cold. It was so windy.
And you were just wearing leather pants.
I was just wearing leather pants, which, you would think that with all those layers, I would have been perfectly fine. However, the wind was so bad. Mike, you've seen the costume in person. Well, you both have. The there are rare earth magnets in the helmet and in the hood to keep it in place. The wind was so strong that it blew my hood off 3 times.
Dang.
So
What did you wear? Green.
we had like the Mardi Gras beads.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little green.
Nice.
So, but yeah, so that was interesting. But I was on TV for the 3rd time this year.
I'm telling you,
It's
this
so
is
weird.
the year of John, man. This is the 2023 is the year of John.
Did you record the clips? You should put those on a file somewhere.
Someone has it in our Facebook group. I just haven't had a chance to rip them quite yet.
Yeah, I would save them. I just saved everything. Like when me and the girls were starting out, it's just neat to go back and look at that stuff.
Yeah, because when after a certain period of time, it's going to be hard to find them. I mean, I would love to find the footage of me on America's Most Wanted, but I have been unsuccessful in getting it.
Yeah.
Well,
What about you, Mike?
I didn't have any troop time, so I've been getting ready for Celebration. The ever I'm in this movie shoot cancellation might be in my favor.
I agree.
You know, but yeah, no. But I'm getting ready. There's a zoo troop. There's a Philadelphia zoo troop coming up. I want to say it's the weekend after Celebration, so I'll probably do that. I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't want to sign up for something before I go to Celebration and come home and be like totally beat. So
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna probably do the zoo, the Philly Zoo.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I think I'm going to do that one too.
Yeah, and I cleaned up my whole basement, so I have that back to almost normal. So I'm itching to get stuff done. And Celebration is kind of putting me on hold for any of my other stuff, but I'm just itching to, as soon as I get home from work, just like wrenching on stuff or putting stuff together. And so that's my troop. I don't have any good troop time stuff yet.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to turn down 2 troops this weekend because they either require money or are far enough away that I'm like, I can't afford the gas.
Yeah, that's like requiring money.
Right. So I had to be like, sorry, I can't this weekend. Like, Celebration is in 2 weeks. So I'm trying
and
to.
You're still now. Have you gotten any word on your passport yet?
I called today because online it says if you are within 2 weeks, call this number. So I called. I waited. I was on hold for almost an hour, and then just for them to answer the phone and be like, "When are you leaving?" I'm leaving April 5th. You got to call back tomorrow. It's within 2 weeks. I'm like, we're within 2 weeks. I leave in 2 weeks, in 14 days.
Well, I think if your check got cashed and it calculates out to be the same as when mine got cashed, you should get it Monday or Tuesday.
I hope.
So,
I really do.
So yeah, I think you'll be fine. I don't see any. I don't think they ever updated all those from the olden days. Like I just think it's just bureaucracy. Like they're like, well, do we have to reprint all the pamphlets? Yes. Just leave it on there. It's going to take X amount of weeks to get it there. So You'll be good. I'm excited. We're gonna have a good time.
I know. That's all anyone has wanted to talk to me about.
That's good.
Really, like any of my like Star Wars friends are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're going to Celebration! Like that's so cool." I'm like, but it's so stressful because it came out of
John's
nowhere.
gonna be all gray. The next week, his hair's gonna be white.
Yeah, but I've got
old man Luke.
I've got everything except for my passport. It's the last thing. I signed up for panels yesterday, which I was really disappointed because I wanted to do the sequel trilogy villains one, but it's an hour before my panel starts.
Oh, it ends an hour before, or
it starts an hour before.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was a little disappointed about that one, but oh god, twist my arm.
Yeah, that's first word Celebration problems there, buddy.
I have an extra ticket, Ken.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that Heather's on, and she'll
Well, maybe
Make it clear to the world that I didn't plan well for this. If I had done better planning, it may have been more of a reality. But the force works in mysterious ways. I'll
well,
be I'll be on this side of the puddle cheering for all of you.
well, we have also was it no? What's the one in Philly in June?
Fan
Expo.
Expo.
Fan Expo. I put us in. I put the Inflatable Falcon in as family in Star Wars, found family.
Yes,
To go
sir.
along with our- but I put us in. I don't know if we'll get it or not because I was going to put Zoe in. It's like I got to really put some love towards you guys. So I put
Well, we all know that she can still hop on the panel with us.
It's
right,
true.
right.
But I do have something that
Are you in trouble with your passport, Ken?
Not trouble. We've just been holding off on getting it because we didn't want to get it without having a trip in mind because it expires after so many years. We didn't want to waste time having a passport not going anywhere.
Well,
So
don't
we
get me
don't
started
have
with
updated
Pennsylvania.
passports right now
Pennsylvania, we have to have this stupid driver's license. It's like has
with
all
a star on it.
yeah,
me too.
but that doesn't help me anything other than it just costs me more money. It's like
Well, you can fly domestically without a passport.
You could do it before. And I think it's more expensive. I think it's the same license with a star on it.
yeah, that's all it is.
Yep.
And
It's all bureaucracy.
Well, in PA, like Missy has to get fingerprinted every 5 years. She has to pay $50 to get fingerprinted to keep her job every 5 years.
Why does she? Oh, because you work in Maryland. That's right.
Huh?
You work in Maryland, so you don't have to do that, right?
No, man. They're like, you're breathing. You're willing to stand in front of children for this little pay. Come on in. No.
But yeah, Heather's been asking me to get our passports for a while because we want to, even as silly as it sounds, we want to be able to go to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls and see that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, back in my day, you just drove over there.
well, yes, I grew up in upstate New York.
It's like,
I went to college not too far from there, and one of my my college friends, his parents ran a hotel on the Canadian side, and so we would drive 2.5, 3 hours to go to his house. And the drinking age in Canada at the time was 18 versus 21. So we would go spend the weekend with his parents and pretend like we were real adults.
yeah. Yeah, well, next time, Ken. I got my first
2025.
passport when I applied for Survivor. For season 3. Season 3. I applied for season 3.
See, my first passport, I had long blonde hair because that's when I was going to Australia.
Ah.
My first flight ever was from Rochester, New York to Chicago, Chicago to LA, LA to Sydney.
Jeez.
That was the first time I'd ever been on a plane, and it was all within a span of like 24 hours or whatever. About 8 hours into the flight from LA to Sydney,
Yeah.
one of the stewardesses came by and she kneeled down next to him. So I'm like, a 20-year-old college kid, and she whispered ever so politely, you can put your seat back, right? Like, I didn't know. So my seat was straight up for 8 hours of the flight. Everyone else was lounged out, and I didn't know how to do it, so I didn't want to ask. And she came over and helped me with my seat.
I think she was hitting on you, Ken.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm still worried about John and his vaping, man. John, you better have like a patch on each cheek, man.
Hey, I found out I can bring it with me. I can take it on the flight. It just can't be in checked bags. So I'm cool once we get across the pond.
Oh, okay.
In the meantime, it's gonna be I got some anxiety meds from my doctor this week, so I'm hoping that's just gonna knock me right out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tired, so because we'll be up early to watch The Mandalorian because I'm not gonna have any time after work, and then so I'm hoping that I just sit on the plane, start talking to someone, and fall asleep, and they wake me up when I get to England.
Right. Now, did you pay to pick out your seats, or are you just kind of winging it?
I didn't pay to pick my seats. No.
All right. I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one.
Because everything I pay for is 3 times as much.
Right. Well, did you see how much they wanted to pick out your seats? It was the floor was $88 for like the worst seats.
Yeah.
See, I've never understood that game. So you buy a ticket, but you're not buying a seat. Like, I don't understand that.
They're just going to cram you in like sardines. It's once we get off the plane in London, I'll be fine. It's just that whole rigmarole is just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I find it like, I was so happy when Celebration was in Chicago and we could drive. Not because I didn't mind the flying part, but I feel like the flying part was, here's a lot of money for us to treat you poorly and shove you, so it'll be all right.
I do expect to see lots of photographs from you guys. Not necessarily while you're there, but afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
I expect a mountain of them. No pressure.
Well, I bought those lapel mics, so I plan on at least recording some video while I'm there. So,
Yeah.
but let's see how that actually turns out.
I'm going to take my 360 camera, and then I got at least 2 juice packs, and again, I got a long cord to run the juice pack up my arm, like this, so I can plug it in and still hold my phone. Because last time I had to double them up. So
yeah,
it'll be all right.
However, I do want to show you guys something. So Mike, you may or may not be getting the same thing here shortly, but I have some new merch that I will definitely be rocking at Celebration that I'm so excited for. So I have a new T-shirt because mine is like the sign is totally faded out now. However,
you had it for like 6 weeks, haven't you?
No, I've had it.
I wore that every day.
Yeah, I wear it a lot. It was my go-to T-shirt.
People start talking about Star Wars. He pulls off his other clothes.
Like Superman.
But yeah, so if you look a little closer on the sleeve, you'll notice I stuck the Inflatable Falcon logo on there.
Nice.
However,
where
is not.
Find this merchandise.
I need to start selling it, but I also need to figure out how to integrate it into the website. That is not the only thing I will be wearing, though. So in addition to the T-shirt, we also have the Inflatable Falcon beanie.
Nice.
Because, it's probably going to be cold over there.
I haven't even thought about the clothes and weather.
What about a banana hammock?
I've just been thinking about what stuff I can how I can fit armor in my bag. That's all I've been thinking about.
Yeah. However, I will say, because it's going to be cold. So in addition to the T-shirt and the beanie, we also have a Beskar bucket hoodie on the way. I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm going to be a walking billboard all weekend.
That's awesome. Well, I messaged you guys. I can't say his name, but Zoe's guest got approved by Lucasfilm today.
Ooh.
So, but I can't advertise yet because he hasn't told me if I'm allowed to advertise yet.
Right.
That's very cool.
So you'll get to meet him, Joe.
Well, if things go right, you guys may cross paths with one of the people that I have slated to interview after Star Wars.
Who's that?
It's he's a YouTube maker of music, and he actually is the gentleman responsible for the forces behind Star Wars' new introduction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he goes by on YouTube. He goes by his initials NYC.
Oh, okay.
And so after everybody gets back from Celebration, I'm going to have an interview with him.
Nice.
There you go.
He's super nice, very very cool, and has traveled to some fun places and has some very fun stories that I'm looking forward to share with all you guys.
Yeah, I see the celebration boards where everyone is like, well, what's in this and what should I do, and I can't get in this. I just think you'll have fun in every corner of Celebration. You know what I mean? Like I decided this time I'm going to try to stop in a few more of the podcast stages. Like if it's like, hey, I'm a little tired, I'm just going to go sit and then I can listen just some random podcast stage, which I think will be neat. And check more vendors.
Well, did you see the Facebook group that someone had posted that they went through the entirety of the website and put everything into a spreadsheet.
Oh, I gotta check that out. Well, I also want to see when the meetups are because I'm sure there's a podcast meetup somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
last
some of
time,
them actually have events outside of the
oh yeah,
celebration too.
yeah, the events they'll be going on till
The break of
you
dawn.
got to find out what hotel hip hop troopers in, and you'll be up till 2 a.m. And I don't know when the 501st bash is. I didn't get tickets for that.
I looked it up too. I don't know when the bash is, but I do know that they have a location and a time set for the big photo shoot.
Yeah,
So hopefully that's not Saturday or Sunday between 11 and 1.
yeah. Well, and we want to find out. Like, I want to find out when the Rebels shoots are, when the Ahsoka shoot is.
Or the Mando Death Watch. That's always fun to watch.
Yeah. So, but again, it comes back to our found family. Like all these people are just people that everyone has something in common.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I mean, I don't know who I'm going to be running into. I don't think it's going to be quite like Anaheim, but it'll just be neat to see a lot of people that I know, and there's a lot more people going than I thought weren't going. So,
I'm just excited to go with you. To be
yeah,
honest.
we should. I mean,
That's
me and Zoe are worried we're going to hurt Safi though, because me and Zoe go like 20, 22 hours at a time, where Safi's like she needs her sleep, you know. So,
Well, she'll have plenty of time to sleep when she gets back.
Mhm.
yeah, well, me and Zoe, man, we were looking like death warmed over. I think by the end of it, we were just up, man. We were just, because I ran into John from the Dad Batch, and I was like, I was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey. I probably looked like I was like high or something. So, but yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm just like I can't wait to check the vendors out, and not that I'm going to buy anything, but sometimes it's just neat talking to the people, like because some of those guys that have some of the stuff that I would never buy, but like if you go into sideshow collectible stuff, they have some really cool stuff.
Well, and they often have those things that you're not looking for, and they're still there. So some of the places like Fantha Tracks or even the Mando Mercs,
Yeah,
they have patch kits or they have posters that are available. Some of the stuff they're literally just handing away.
I think Fantha Tracks. I think at least 4 or 5 of the podcasts are in the Fantha Tracks network,
Yep.
or whatever. I think the Fantha Tracks guys are the guys we went through the Falcon with last time when we were in Chicago. I think that was the Fantha Tracks guys.
Oh, that's cool.
Because we were just hanging out and talking to them, and they were taking some pictures and stuff like that. I'm hoping that they have the Belgians Falcon there. So,
Well, it'd be a lot easier for them to have it there than, let's say, Anaheim.
they didn't bring it to Anaheim.
Well, with that in mind, let's do a little bit of guessing or predicting of what you think will be there. So, do you think they're going to have a big display similar to the Mandalorian experience?
Oh, I bet.
I hope so.
I doubt it'll be the Mando one though, because like some of them were used props, they're like. Well, I guess they're not shooting right now, so
they're shooting Ahsoka, so it's hard to say.
I thought they wrapped on Ahsoka.
Did they wrap already?
Yeah, there's nothing shooting right now because the guys who worked on Ahsoka, they're in Prague right now. So
honestly, if they do something like they did last year, I would hope it would be for Obi-Wan. Or Andor.
Well, it could be a combo because even the stuff they did for Mando, that was Mando, but it was also Book of Boba Fett too.
Right. It was the Mando verse.
Yeah. So they could have that same stuff just carted over there. Well, yeah, that would be
cool.
Didn't
they do a lot of the filming for Andor and Obi-Wan in England?
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have something like that set up. I just hope it's like they do it the same way. So, and then John, whatever panels you get, we signed all 4 of our tickets up for panels. So if we don't get then we can get you into panel.
You just sneak me into one. Yeah, I think I don't remember what I signed up for. I have the email here.
And then the store stuff went up. The store stuff went up too.
Yeah, they're doing the actual like celebration store.
Yeah.
Those go up tomorrow, like to get into the lottery.
Yeah, and then the Funko too.
The Funko is the 29th.
Yeah. All I know is when I
Didn't
went
you
to the
just sell a lot of Funkos, Mike?
I'm not getting into Funko one. No. When I went to the Funko, where was it? Oh, in Anaheim. No, in Orlando. When I finally I had my Funko ticket because that was my first celebration. I was like, oh, I come. There was only 2 Funko Pops left in the whole store. It was, and I remember I bought it. It was the Greedo. It was the translucent Greedo,
Like
the
sparkly almost.
yeah, the exclusive. But they had those giant Funko bags that were like the size of a sleeping bag. Did you ever see those?
Oh, you can fit a toddler in them.
Yeah, and I said to the guy, I said, "Can I have one of those bags?" And he's like, he looked at me. I was like, "Look, I only had a choice of this. Can I at least have one of the bags?" And he gave it to me. I think out of pity.
What are you going to do with them? You have nothing else to put them in. Are you going to take these things home?
Yeah.
Knit them into a sweater? Like what?
Yeah,
But
I just want a T-shirt. That's the only thing I want to bring home with me is a T-shirt.
Yeah, I probably will get a T-shirt. I missed my T-shirt in Anaheim just because I was too busy doing other things.
I missed out on the Lando button down, like the Hawaiian shirt,
yeah,
that
yeah.
yellow one that had the Ewok glider.
Yeah, well, it's like no, it's not a glider. It's an animal. It's an actual animal.
No, I thought it was a glider.
No, I have the material. I bought like 6 yards of that material.
Oh, really?
And I sewed Zoe a shirt. So if you look at the shirt, I made her the long sleeve with the fluffy, because the shirt you could buy at Celebration was short sleeve. I made the long sleeve so if she ever wants to hide her cards, she can hide them in the sleeve. So
Nice.
No, but I like, yeah. I mean, I think that's enough. That's enough celebration talk for now.
Yeah,
Well, Heather's giving you a suggestion on how to survive.
Yeah.
And that's to make sure you bring an extra suitcase so you can put all your goodies in.
not for what they're charging for a check bag.
We got to fit everything in. I might be if I buy something, I'm leaving something in England. So.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone on trips where it's like, okay, I don't need these sneakers to come home because I got another pair. Or
Well, that's what I'm like. Okay, what shoes can I wear that I don't have to carry shoes? Even if I look goofy, I'm just gonna wear this one pair of shoes.
I got my Van slip-ons. That's all I'm wearing.
You're not bringing Kylo with you?
Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. No, that Kylo would take 2 checked bags.
Yeah.
To even fathom, because I mean that fabric is just so heavy and so dense. That
Zappy is just taking 000's head.
That's bold, even for just taking the head.
Well, listen, I'm carrying a Sabine helmet, and I'm taking full Sabine armor, and Zoe's taking full Ahsoka stuff.
I'm bringing a backpack and my laptop bag.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing a backpack that'll have the Sabine helmet in it. So who knows?
Hopefully you're folding your clothes like Marie Kondo recommends.
Yeah.
Maybe
someday I'll be rich enough just to have a private plane and just take everything I want.
Right. Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm
taking, they're paying for a pallet to take all their armor.
Who's they?
The Dad Batch guys.
Oh, they are.
They're shipping all of their costumes on a pallet. I don't know what that costs, but because Brian, or is it Brian Cook?
Yeah, they have season 2 Bad Batch, right?
They're working, but
they're in progress.
I think Brian Cook, is it Brian Cook who does Crosshair?
I think so. I have a hard time remembering.
They got lost when they were coming home last year, so it got damaged and stuff.
Oh,
because they live in South Carolina now. So, but
yeah, I think the only thing that I don't have in hand, that I don't even know what it is, the CO for the Ohio Garrison, he texted me Monday or Tuesday night. He was like, "Hey, do you have everything you need to go? And I was telling him, like, I've got everything except for my passport. And he's like, do you have a lanyard for your badge? And I was
yeah.
like, oh, good point. I'm sure I have a lanyard.
Well, they give you like
somewhere.
cheapo ones.
Right. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. You've got a lanyard now. I'm like, okay. All right, cool. So, yeah, apparently he's hooking me up with a lanyard. I don't know what it's going to
Just
be.
freak him out and offer him your free ticket.
I actually offered it to him to see if he would go. But he said he couldn't get his passport in time. It's like, well, if I knew the struggle.
Well, yeah. It should be exciting. This should be a good summer. This should be a good summer for trooping, I think. I hope. And costumes in general. Just the Mandalorian, just the new Mandalorians is awesome.
Yeah. I love what they're doing with the costumes in this show. It's just so pleasing to look at.
Is that the Ahmed Best character?
Yeah, that's the Jedi from Jedi Temple Challenge.
That was that made me happy. That made me glad I got up at 5 a.m. to watch that today. I wanted to swing back though to our talk about the midsection, which I know John didn't like.
From
last episode?
The slow, the doctor, whatever. I've been thinking about that all week. And it reminds me of season 2 of Walking Dead. You guys watch Walking Dead?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they were at the farm?
Herschel's farm.
Huh?
Herschel's farm.
Herschel's farm. And remember, it seemed like every episode you were like, why don't you people move or do something? And I wonder if that episode was made to make us understand the drudgery of his life and why he did what he did.
Yeah. Which, by the way, for the record, upon my 4th viewing, I have come around to that episode. Okay. So I think it was the heat of the moment.
Well, they did. Honestly, they did give you like 3 potato chips at the beginning, and then didn't give you any more chips till like a half hour later. So I understand that.
So one of the other things too that's very interesting about Star Wars now is you have so many different stories moving at the same time. Some of them are individual focused. Some of them are the effects of individuals on each other. So character A impacting character B. And then you have the much larger story that's going on, the things that are happening, with the Republic or with the various governments or whatever it is, the world at large. And I think it's impossible to do all of that at one time, so they have to break it up into these different portions, and some folks like that portion and other folks don't. They're not interested in the big story. They want to know about this character and only this character.
Well, and I saw people like I watched it this morning, and then when I got on my phone after work today, there were people saying, I have to step away from Star Wars. This Mando is so bad. I was like, what? Did you watch the same thing I saw?
Well, like, one of the things I think we may have read the same group of comments.
Maybe.
So I've actually seen folks sometimes make such general and nebulous comments. So, for instance, folks seem to like to bash Disney for turning this into a money-making thing. I mean no insult by me saying this, but it's always been a money-making thing.
When I was working on our new trailer, right, I watched all those stupid music videos from the Xbox Connect, right? Okay. That was only made for money. You know what I mean? That was like, there's no, like... And
no, it was made to help people move. It was for their health and fitness.
Yeah. They're borderline. I don't know what if you were dropped in the earth and you saw those videos, you would never watch a computer animated anything ever again. Watching the Bespin Cloud women do that dance is weird.
Well, you're not supposed to watch it. You're supposed to do it with them.
I guess. No, but I agree with what you're saying. But I see these people and they're like, well, they ruined the Mandalorian lore, right? And I think back to Boba Fett, which we all love. But if you take it from the most canon sources ever, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, he sucked. You know what I mean? Like he
That's one way to put it.
no, but I mean he got his money and then he hung out and then he got hit with a spear in the back and fell into Sarlacc.
Well, not just fell into the Sarlacc. He smashed face first into a big ship and then rolled into the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
And then it belched it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not taking like I like the Boba Fett and I like the Mandalorian lore. And if you want that warmongering super Mandalorians, the new episodes don't make the Mandalorians any weaker. People forget season 1. All of that covert was basically destroyed by those stormtroopers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, remember that big pile of helmets they found? So they were probably the better ones that died, and now they're trying to rebuild. So they're training them all. Of course, they couldn't fight a big bird creature, because they're all new at it. And then, and this is the scientist person part of me is, if I was this big bird creature, they probably killed most of the ones that lived within range of their jetpacks. That's why their jetpacks ran out, because the ones that survived, they couldn't get to. Like, it's just like, I don't know if people are, it reminds me of Andor. You can't watch Andor and have your phone in your hand. Right. And you can't knee jerk any of these shows, especially with Filoni and Favreau. You can't knee jerk a reaction unless you actually think of why they did stuff.
Well, not just that, not even think why they did stuff. Wait until it's out there to see what they did, because this is the 3rd episode, right? 3rd episode of this season, or is it 4th?
4th.
Fourth. Okay, so we're roughly halfway through the season, or is it a quarter of the way through? Either the whole season's not done yet,
right?
So it's like picking up any book, any novel, grabbing one chapter out of it, and being upset that you don't know where it came from or where it's going,
right?
And basing your entire judgment on those few pages that you get,
right? And to me, I loved seeing all those Mandos swarm around that bird creature. And then they brought them 3. Like that alone, we are going to have Mandalorians riding those things.
Like Joust.
Yeah.
The old video game Joust.
Yeah. I was just playing it last weekend at Decades.
Well, and how about that whole training scene on the beach?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the last season of Rebels, I don't think we've seen that many Mandalorians on screen at one time.
Right. And go ahead, I'm sorry. When Grogu got his chest plate there, I'm picturing a Lord of the Rings movie scene when the cave troll hit Frodo with the spear. Yeah. That's what I'm picturing, because Mando might not realize he has it. So I'm picturing a blast and he thinks Grogu's dead. Which I thought was
well, he did have the mithril, T-shirt thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, Blake has a good point. Blake has a good point about the giant birds and the alligators.
So for me, my question related to that is, how in the wild world of sports did they get there? Because it seems like Din and Bo are the only ones that have ships.
Well, Anthony brought up a good point, but I also think, that's where I think the nuance of a religion, or the religious cult part of it, like if you're in a religious cult that makes you religious warriors, then that could be possibly, look, we need to live here because this helps sharpen our thing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times the cult-like activities supersede common sense.
Well, it's
You know
not
what I
even
mean?
cult-like activity. I mean, you could liken this to the history of the Jews,
You mean like,
like having to get their people got scattered through the
yeah,
desert,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they found that one person to lead them home to the promised
yeah.
land, and things along those lines.
Well, and with Bo-Katan back in, which I thought that was really cool. Um, I think at least in this episode, it proved to me that besides her and Din, the rest of them are really under par when it comes to Mandalorians. In the sense that she was like ready to go lead, where the rest of them were kind of, it's just because they're new to it. Most, besides the dude with the heavy gun, I don't recognize any of them from the first season.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
And
don't
that
think
gun
any
is
of them
cool.
were in the first season, other than the armorer,
Yeah, the armor and him. That's what I'm
because
saying. They're
we didn't see any of them on the ring planet when Din
yeah,
met
there was
them.
just him and her. That's what I'm saying. So they're going around getting, you know, I don't know. I thought it was neat. I thought it was neat when they give her the food and let her stay by the fire. And so I don't know if she's respecting their culture. She's just like, look, I might as well just keep my helmet on. So I got to play. They blew up my castle. You know what I mean? I don't know which way she's leaning. I think seeing the mythosaur kind of changed her perspective on a lot of that.
Well, it definitely potentially gave her another opportunity.
Yeah.
So before, her opportunity to lead was based on a weapon.
Yeah.
He or she, whoever held the dark saber, could lead. And then there's also that part of the ancient stories that the riding of a mythosaur will signal the next coming or whatever of the Mandalorians.
You want to know what I think it is? I think they wanted Bo-Katan in this whole season, and Katie Sackhoff was getting too expensive.
Oh, you mean because to keep the
Yep.
helmet on?
Yep.
No, I think that's her though. I don't think they didn't like, for instance, with Din, they're advertising or crediting Latif and Brendan,
Yeah.
because I think Katie Sackhoff has done a lot of action stuff before this.
Well, I think she's a big fan of all these properties too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's pretty exciting what they're doing, and it's nice what they're doing with Bad Batch too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bad Batch. I mean, that's next week's going to be killer because it's 2 episodes. So, and Zoe wants to watch the Bad Batch first. So I was like, oh, so I'm like 4:30. It's like, oh, so I might be half. I'm on like cold medicine right now, just because it's going around our school, man. We're like they're dropping like flies at school.
So you had mentioned, talking about this idea of found family or
Yeah.
foundlings. Other than Grogu, Din, and the rest of the children of the Watch, what are some other foundlings that you've noticed either in this season or the earlier seasons of The Mandalorian? Because
Well,
from where I sit, I think that group of Imperials that had been taken in and absorbed to a certain degree by the New Republic, you could almost say that they were foundlings.
yeah.
They
That was. But I was thinking too of Cobb Vanth, and that whole town was almost like a
Freetown,
huh?
Freetown.
Yeah, Freetown was like that was his found family, you know. Quill, but he's no longer with us now. But
R.I.P.
Quill
Pour one out.
is pretty close to a father figure as Din was going to have, I think.
Well, I don't know if he was a father figure as much as he was an ally or a mentor, a needed mentor in that moment.
Well, I took him more of a father figure in the sense of like I think of maybe he was a fraction, not because he was short, a fraction of a father figure that shows you that stuff like how to change your oil. You know what I mean? That because he had the warrior part, but he didn't have and he had some repair thing. But I just remember when Din was like crying like a little baby that he couldn't put his ship back together, and Quill kind of slapped him, in back.
Well, how about when he couldn't ride the Blurg, and he's like, "Wait a minute, the
Yeah, yeah, I
Mandalorians
know.
are supposed to be
Now
able
that
to
I
ride a
think about it, Din
mythosaur."
was like a little baby that day.
Well, see, so I heard something I thought it was very funny recently. Somebody said that Din Djarin is a Mary Sue. That Din Djarin is a near perfect character and can do no wrong and fails at nothing. And my first thought was, have they watched any of these episodes?
I know. I
Because
know.
he has failed over and over and over again, and he needed to be rescued by a 50-year-old baby in a stroller. He had to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
pulled out of a puddle by Bo-Katan.
yep.
So he's been rescued a number of times. So I don't see how Din Djarin could even slightly, kind of, sort of, almost be considered a Mary Sue.
These are probably the same people that saying it ruined the Mandalorians for being really tough and cool too. That's what the funny thing is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, Blake said Bo could be a mother figure for Grogu.
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the cool things about the Mandalorian culture that we're seeing is yes, you have the parents. You've got
Yeah.
Paz, who's Ragnar's father. Um, you have Din, who's playing the adopted father or the step parent of Grogu, and you have that larger family that kind of go into that old saying of it takes a village to raise a child, or it
Right.
takes a village to be successful, and they've needed to rely on each other for security. They've needed to rely on each other for learning. They've needed to rely on each other to get from place to place. And sometimes the Force brings these other people into our mix that in that moment we are able to do something that we wouldn't have been able to do before. So, for instance, the first episode where you see Din Djarin show up and use the N1 starfighter to destroy the space crocodile turtle dinosaur thing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's the fan. Like you have well, pretty much anyone he ran into, like even Cara Dune was part of his family. Where that was another figure that just helped out. Omega's a family. Well, yeah, and the Bad Batch alone, the Bad Batch themselves are almost like even though they're all the same, they're all very different. So they were kind of like they're like when they took on Echo. Echo was like he was like a found person, found part of their family.
Well, you could even extend it beyond just the Bad Batch. Sid played a role
Yeah,
in their lives. Fee played a role in their lives. Now, the folks on the island of Pabu are playing a role in their life. And so you can have, you know, various layers and various extensions of family.
right.
Um, and I think, just our shows of the unifying fandom network of our Star Wars podcast, we've become this found family
Yeah.
from meeting someone at an armor party or in the toy aisle of Target.
That's
We've
still the best story.
it's definitely a fun one, and it's even for me. It's even funnier I was part of that story. But we've grown from those random meetings that we could have very easily just had the meeting and gone off into the sunset, but we've kept those connections strong. We've built each other, we've supported each other, we've encouraged each other along the way in various times and in various ways, and it just strengthens the relationships, and you can see it showing up in the cartoons. You can see it showing up in the live action shows. And I
Yeah,
think Star Wars has really spent a lot of time over the 40 plus years emphasizing the need of that found family, or the importance of that found family.
yeah. Well, I think like my kids don't have family. My own daughters, other on my side, I don't have any family. but I think of the large family I have, from Marty, Dan, you, John, and a whole host of others, to the point of, like, I got a call at work today, a text message from the one librarian at school, because he's in the 501st too, but he's on the other side of the county. And he's like, yeah, I saw Spectre 5 was in the building, because, he knows Zoe from when she was a little Jawa, and her license plate is like some derivative of Spectre 5, and so she was substituting as a social studies teacher today. So, it's just funny how all these connections keep getting made over a movie that started in 1970, released in 1977. So,
Well, and you could even, you mentioned your coworker who's also in the 501st. You could say that these costuming clubs become like found families. I mean, there are folks who will get together on holidays or get together on a Tuesday to play Trivial Pursuit
yep.
because of their connections that started with this wacky movie that a bearded dude from California decided to make.
Yeah. Well, in this librarian, he's in the Maryland thing. I remember before, when he first started, I just started talking to him about Star Wars, and I told him about the 501st. And now we have the band director of one of the high schools is joining, because he just got his kit from Walt's Trooper Factory.
Ooh.
Message. I was like, we're going to take over Maryland. And me and John and you, when we finally get together to work on this movie with Matt, that's a whole nother avenue. I'm still trying to trace back how I even got involved in that. I don't even know how I got into that one.
Yeah, I'm only involved because you were involved. So
And I don't know how my name got given. I don't know who gave Matt my name to this day. I don't know how he got my name.
It wasn't Marty?
No, because Marty didn't know him. Dan knew him a little bit, but I don't know how I got it. He did Zoe's podcast, but somehow he got my name too about stormtroopers from someone else. I was like, all right. So,
Speaking of Matt, not totally off topic. However, I was just scrolling through my personal Instagram the other day, and a Star Wars podcast post. I think it was like all_Star Wars or something like that. Just someone that I didn't expect. I just saw Matt's face just pop up in my feed. I'm like, huh, that's not Matt. That's not the Han Solo Chronicles. That's not like their page. It's not his editor's page. What? And he was doing it. He was doing a podcast with someone. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. Well, and you have Ned, like that's a connection too. Like Ned,
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be interviewing Ned and Ruben next week for the Rambling Star Wars Fan. We're going to do an episode on it's going to be called Under the Armor,
nice.
talking about the Mandalorians with Mandalorians.
Nice. Yeah, Blake said about the Jedi Challenge. I hope that this appearance in the newest Mandalorian brings more people to watch that Jedi Challenge. I just thought that was such an enjoyable show.
Well, one of the things I thought was really, really cool about his character showing up, not just because it gave them another reason to put Ahmed Best into something,
Right.
because I will vote for that, time and time again. It shows that there are even more Jedi alive than we thought. Because when we watched those movies so long ago, we thought it was Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then whoever they trained. But we're learning more and more that survived.
This goes back to your Rambling Star Wars Fan episode when you were talking when your guest from Australia.
Mm-hmm. When I talked to Clem.
This is where I and he knows more about it, so my disagreement really doesn't matter. But when I was younger, I always thought balance of the Force. I always thought balance meant, okay, we have 3 Jedi and 3 Sith. That's balanced. You know what I mean? Or 2 and 2. Like that's, I always thought of that. And then I heard someone talking a while ago, and they were talking about balance in the body or balance in an ecosystem. If you have balance in your body, it doesn't mean you have half your organs don't have cancer and half your organs do have cancer. Balance means everything's working properly, which usually means there's no, darkness or cancer. Same with ecosystems. And so I started to think back about, I rethought my and that opens it up to have more Jedi around. You know, when they said he would bring balance to the Force, you know it. So I am happy to see there's more Jedi alive. I was really hoping for a Quinlan Voss, though. I was really hoping.
Well, there's still time. I mean, there's more episodes of this, and from what we've learned fairly recently is that Favreau thinks that this show can go on for 10 years.
That's good. Well, and that's the other thing that fans don't understand. I think they have such good evergreen characters when you have people wearing their helmets all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
like as terrible as it is to say, how many superhero movies have the main person aged out because they started too late? You know, like
Yeah.
so.
Well, and we also have the potential of a character like Enfys Nest,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we think this is the individual behind the helmet or under the helmet, and it's actually someone else completely.
God, I would love to see that. I would love to see Memphis come back. That would be an awesome.
Well, I think that they would be Enfys and the Cloud Riders would be great to have in the Lando Chronicles.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be neat to see him in the Bad Batch.
Or Andor, because they were kind of there near the beginning of the rebellion, so they could be one of those groups that Saw Gerrera was talking about.
Yeah. Come on, give us your Saul Guerrero impersonation. Come on.
Every day, more lies. Got to get it into every episode.
Yeah, every episode. And we have to talk about the Inflatable Falcon. I got a 15% off coupon. 15% off. It's like I'm leaving money. It's like I'm losing money by not buying it.
How about
Losing
we talk about
hundreds of
that after
dollars.
celebration?
Huh?
We'll talk about that after celebration.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll be there in England. It was such a sad display at Celebration Anaheim. Like it was like they purposefully took the crappiest inflatable that you could. Like someone couldn't have just went to a print shop and printed up some really cool backdrops of the big one. No, they took like the smallest, like your kid would outgrow by the time they could walk. That was their display. Like, come on, put a little effort into it.
We'll have double the amount of people there to harass them this year, though.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that's But I was looking at that thing again. I was watching the video tour, and I replied to one of Magic Jumps and said, "Have you guys heard of the podcast that's been inspired?" I just put it on one. I replied and then put a link to our show.
You're gonna get us blocked.
Yeah, they'll be like, "We'll get a cease and desist. You're going to have to call it the Blow Up Falcon or something."
The blow up pigeon.
oh jeez.
It's I don't know. It's a good time to love. I still can't get over the people that were stepping away from Star Wars for a while for today's episode. I'm like, really? Did I miss something? Did I like fall asleep during a scene where they like beat a puppy or something? Did I,
See, one of the and this I kind of touched on it a little bit when I was talking about those kind of comments. They're so general that it doesn't help me understand what they mean by it.
Right.
They just say, I didn't like it. Okay, well, what parts didn't you like? So, for instance, there are some aspects of some movies that I think are really, really weird. Like, so we've talked about it before. What was Leia, Lando, and Luke's plan in Return of the Jedi?
Right.
How are they really going to rescue Han? Like, we've never heard the full story, and since 1978, we have not seen Chewbacca's family show up in anything.
Right.
So why are people complaining about Rey's family but not Chewbacca's family?
Right.
Or
Right.
why are they complaining about this being, some sort of an insult to the Mandalorian culture that was developed in Clone Wars?
Right. And Bo-Katan is way more badass than she was in Clone Wars. Like just watch the episode where she appeared in the first episode she appeared in Mandalorian. And in this episode where she just went after, like, she's like, look, we're going to go rescue this person. You know what I mean? Like you know, it's just and I thought I was like, oh well, they're camping when the kids could be getting eaten. I thought that was a little weird, but that's like a throwback to those old Sinbad movies, where you went to rescue the person and there was this little mini, like, okay, you have to camp at the foot of the Cyclops hill, like that was it's movie making. It would be boring if they're like, oh, hurry up, let's rush. Then people would complain that the episode was 10 minutes long.
Well, and not only would would it shorten the episode, it wouldn't give you the opportunity to see Bo-Katan choosing a different choice.
Yep.
Because before she talked about how silly it was to follow these rules of these Mando cultists. And now that she's been accepted into this group, she's doing what she can to not get kicked out of it. She's doing what she can to be a part of it. She's doing what she can to help it. And so if they had just rushed up the mountain either with the fancy spaceship or with the grapple guns on their gauntlets, you wouldn't have had that opportunity for that. And you would have also missed the fact that you've got Brutus the barber Paz Vizsla, saying, "Oh, you're the war chief, you sit by the fire.
Yeah.
You're the one leading this group. You get the honor of the warmth. We're going to go eat in the shadows."
Yeah. I mean, that was just a good. It's how Fabro tells stories. He tells you so much just by one scene. Like all that was just in that little camping scene,
Well, if you want to see it,
Yeah.
if not, you're going to say that was stupid, and then just gloss over it. And one of the other things I'm noticing about some of the folks who share criticism, and I'll use criticism in quotes, they will share the criticism at the end of a spear. Like they will use their superior knowledge, their superior intellect to insult the person that they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't understand Star Wars. Only I understand Star Wars. Or they're stupid and I'm far more intelligent than they are. I can't believe that they would waste time, effort, and money to put this thing on a screen and call it Star Wars. This is really garbage, and they just don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Well, and I always laugh at some of these people because there's probably not too many people that have Star Wars ingrained in their lives as us three. Like we're all sitting in rooms packed with Star Wars stuff, spent hours talking about Star Wars, and then there's these people who, I don't want to be a gatekeeper, but they just seem like casual, normal fans, and then all of a sudden they have to step away because I was like, really? I don't know.
Well, even with that in mind,
special didn't make me step away. I'm pretty good.
Well, so let's pretend you loved the third movie. That's the movie you really, really love. This new stuff should not diminish the love that you had for that thing. That thing is still available.
Right.
That thing is still what it was. And in fact, you can now watch that thing on a phone at a bus stop in Topeka, Kansas, if you have Wi-Fi access or, cell service.
Yeah.
So if the third movie is your jam, watch it over and over and over again, and be okay with other folks liking this new stuff, or other folks liking the second movie, or other folks, heaven forbid, liking the Phantom Menace.
Oof.
I love the Phantom Menace. I came to the realization of that when you used to have to, like, I had it bought it on iTunes back in the day when you could buy them on iTunes all the time, and I realized I was watching that movie more than any of them. It just like Return of the Jedi I've seen the least. I have probably seen Return of the Jedi probably less than 20 times.
Really? I find that very surprising.
Well, because that came out the year I learned how to drive. So that was, you know what I mean? Like I was in that weird point. I loved it and the Biker Scouts, but unlike, I came out when VCRs weren't really that big of a deal and I was learning how to drive. And then it wasn't until years later until I got married. And, you know what I mean? And I always wound up watching New Hope and Empire, and then Return of the Jedi. I always just kind of, okay.
Not even during like the TBS movie marathons.
Yeah, but I always, it was always the first two that really did that.
Gotcha.
So, but I mean, I might have seen it more than that, but I've seen that probably the least of all the movies. with maybe no, probably even less than the animated Clone Wars movie.
Wow.
Because I've seen that was the first movie I saw a lot.
You saw that in the theater a couple times, right?
Yeah, like 5 times.
Wow.
And every time I missed the scene with Ventress strangling Rex because Safi got scared and had to go to the bathroom. Stupid little 4-year-old. So because at one time we were at a theater that I could let her go to the bathroom and I could watch down, like it was right across the hall. So I got to see it like it was like viewing number 4 or something like that. So, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I mean, it just, I think personally, and probably because of I have such a love for Dave Filoni and his stuff. I think a lot of this stuff is still more true to the original movies than people realize.
Well, Dave, more than any other of the current makers, learned at the knee of George. I
Yeah.
mean, he worked with George, you know, years and years on the Clone Wars.
Well, in the story of the Clone Wars, now you probably know this if I'm saying of it incorrect, but if I remember correctly, in an interview I think I saw with Dave, when they first started, George wasn't really that. He was interested in Clone Wars, but he wasn't hands on. And as they started filming it, then George got more and more hands on. Like
At first, from what I understand, it was meant to almost be a test.
yeah,
Because even back in the original movies, George had the idea of doing stuff for television.
yeah,
And doing it animated was a cheaper version of doing it for television.
yeah.
So he was involved, but not as involved. And then as it became more developed and they improved the technology, they improved the animation, and the characters were becoming more whole, more complete, he stepped in, and he and Dave were then off to the races.
And they were just like, budgets be damned, just whatever you need to spend money on, you know.
Yeah, you betcha. Because at that time it was still George's company.
Yeah,
And some of the weirdest, best parts of Star Wars are from George, and you can see
yep.
the weirdness, in those episodes. So, I don't know how many of you remember the Sunny Day in the Void arc,
Oh, I love that one.
with the robots crawling across a
Yeah.
desert, wondering about what is reality and stuff like that. Or even, Ahsoka. Ahsoka's one of those characters that Dave and George brought to life. And at
Yeah,
first, people
me and Zoe
hated her.
me and Zoe have that conversation all the time because everyone loves Ahsoka now, but man, Zoe was a 7-8-year-old girl defending Ahsoka because everyone hated her, except for Zoe. Like you had to get in a girl's Star Wars T-shirt, you had to go. I forget the company, but Disney and Lucasfilm used the same company, and you could order a shirt and then customize it. I forget the name of the company, but that's how they bought. You could buy T-shirts, Star Wars T-shirts back then, because you couldn't really get them much when the Clone Wars first came out. So Zoe had to order an Ahsoka T-shirt on a website. It was and because you just couldn't get girls T-shirts with Star Wars back then. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the stuff we have coming out this year. I'm getting more excited for the Jude Law stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I still don't understand the storyline other than it's Jude Law and a handful of Force sensitive kids.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're rescued from Order 66 or where it falls in the timeline, all that. They keep surprising me on the stuff I'm not really thinking about. So I have the feeling that this is going to be one of those shows that I just really like. Like I knew I was going to like Andor, but I didn't know I was going to like Andor as much as I liked Andor.
Well, and that just brings up the idea of letting the thing come out and then making the judgment call,
Yep.
seeing it in its entirety, instead of worrying about each 20-minute piece of the episode or this 5-minute scene. There's so much more to it than just those little bits.
Yep.
And with that in mind, it's also, I think it's fun, and I would bet money that the two of you also kind of find this fun too, to take this thing, whatever this thing is, and draw those connections to all the other parts.
Yep.
We could draw connections between this episode of The Mandalorian back to the Clone Wars. We can draw connections from this episode of The Mandalorian back to Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
Or Jedi Temple Challenge.
Yeah,
So we're that guy. I don't remember the guy you were talking about. With all the yarn drawings.
Oh yeah, Charlie Day from Always Sunny.
We could mention just like 5 topics and figure out how all of these things, connect.
And on top of all that, we got to see how those jetpacks are mounted on their backs. They had those.
Oh yeah, the studs.
Brendan Wayne in his Instagram was holding one of those up.
Yep.
Showing these locking devices.
And I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought one of the posters for this season of The Mandalorian showed Velcro on Din Djarin's
But I think
armor.
they might have edited that out in the newer ones.
Oh, really?
Because I saw a newer one just posted up not too long ago, and I think it was missing. But again, that's so as a stormtrooper costumer. So now we're getting into costume time. As a stormtrooper costumer, I've had this discussion with many people. They're like, well, look, in the movies, they had gaffer's tape and this and that. The suits that we make to be screen accurate, when we say screen accurate, we also mean what they meant it to be screen accurate. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at 3/4 of the stormtroopers in New Hope, if you go to, I think the Smithsonian has a stormtrooper there that was used in the movie, it would never pass because it has cloth straps because it was a background person. It was just easier for them to get a piece of cloth, sew some lines in it, and throw it over there, But that would never make it because that wasn't what it was meant to be.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because when my first set of application photos for the Mandalorian mercs, my chest armor, depending on how you looked at it, like a corner may have been lifted off of my soft parts, my flight suit a little bit, and they called it that my chest armor was floating.
Oh yeah.
You look at some of these scenes with the Mandalorians doing all this sort of stuff, and you can see I'm like, wait a minute, their stuff is floating. How come I couldn't get approved? Their stuff is floating. It's on TV right now.
Well, when I made Zoe Sabine, her first one, that always bugged me when the armor floated. So I made it all one piece on a piece of elastic so it wouldn't float. That was like one of my pet peeves. But yeah, I mean,
look at Boba Fett from the last season of The Mandalorian. There's a scene where his whole chest piece is sticking all the way out here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but I have a coworker that I think he might wind up doing Mandalorian. He never heard of the 501st or whatever or anything, and he started talking. We have hallway duty, and so he walks by, and we talk Star Wars a little bit, and so I started giving him links, and then today I sent him the CRLs. I said, look, because he's a gym teacher, but he's like he looks like a football player a little bit. Like he's a bigger guy, probably like 4 inches taller than me. I was like, I said, you should look into doing this. So he was looking, and his wife he's trying to get his wife in. So he's like, I think I can get my wife to do like a Cara Dune, and I'll do Mando or something like that. So I was like, that's cool. So I'll get more people in. Another armor party.
More found family.
Yeah, more found family. Well, it's funny because my coworkers, I'm sure none of them will ever watch this. I don't really associate with my coworkers outside of work that often, unless they're in the 501st.
You have standards, man.
It's just because I love my job, but I don't like to talk about, like, it's any job. If you get like 5 or 6 teachers sitting around talking about teaching at night, that's terrible. So I don't want to talk about my job when I'm not at my job.
Lesson plans. You know what I mean?
I know,
just
right?
stink.
Oh, don't get me started. So
we talked a little bit about Mandalorian. Did you get to see the Bad Batch or no?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this episode?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, you know where it's going. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My only question is, they keep pausing the shot on that woman nurse longer than and I'm like, is she going to be a good guy or a bad guy? You know what I mean?
I wonder if she's the mole.
That's what I was wondering. Because I mean, or am I just seeing things? But I felt like they paused on her a little more than others. And it's not like a real shoot. When you do that on animated, everything is done for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, the camera guy just forgot to turn, just use that shot anyway.
Yeah, everything's intentional.
Yeah. I'm glad. I mean, yeah, I just they only have one. They only have the finale left.
Well,
the finale is 2 episodes. Yeah.
Huh?
The finale is 2 parts.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's a silly question for the finale. Do you think the Bad Batch is going to come back together as a whole unit, meaning there's going to be another episode with Crosshair and the other members? And do you think that Sid's going to be involved somehow in the mix?
I think, yeah.
I want to say like Sid's going to be the one to rat them out. But then again, I feel like with her profession, that doesn't bode well for her.
Well, I definitely think they've planted the seed for that possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
So even in the underworld, she has a bad reputation of being, disloyal and untrustworthy.
Yeah. That could also be a next season thing too.
Right.
Hey, I have Justin with a working camera.
Mm.
Let's see.
As in Justin S with a working camera?
No, Justin T.
Ah, okay.
You got a camera working?
I do have a camera.
Oh, he has no sense. We barely hear you, but we hear feedback. These 500 first guys.
These podcast rookies.
Turn your light. I think we're getting feedback from. A little better, but I can't really hear you. At least it's not my problem. Usually, Justin, it's my stuff. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. We're trying. I can't hear you, Justin. Other than your static. I don't know if you have a.
I feel like I'm in a white noise machine.
Yeah, white noise. Yeah, but in a not good. Now no noise. I only have one rule. We're gonna have to do it. I have microphones. Here. Hey, so let's turn this down. Just I can't hear you. If they had a Jedi challenge for adults, would you guys sign up? Jedi challenge.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I want it to be like. What was that double dare where they get you slime?
The slime.
Star Wars related. Throw Ewok at you.
No, throw the frogs from Jabba's palace.
Oh.
You have to dodge those. Dodge the
Big Jabba's arm would hit you, and then you get slime on you like 3PO did. at least put a tag on. It's Justin can't hear him. Yeah, so Ken, you're going to get a Bo-Katan wife out of this, right?
Yeah, and if that Pinto Din comes, will come in
Pinto
quite
Din,
handy for
because I was
doing-
planning on giving you 3/4 of your stuff at the movie show. You know, I have a box marked for Ken. So then we'll just start printing the Bo-Katan. I printed. Did you see my Bo-Katan helmet? Oh, okay. Justin, go into Restream like in your browser and see if it has controls for your volume. It's not lazy. Just auto sets. Oh, there we go. Oh, nope. But the jetpack's the only thing. Cause I got the jetpack has to scale. You know, like I was watching that. It looks like that jetpack is very small compared to, you know, her shoulders stick out just a little bit past. Like when I was scaling Zoe Sabine, I've noticed that with people that build Sabines, they always overscale her armor, and they look like it's like you're letting your kid wear your armor. It's just slightly too big. I always tell people they're on the side of slight. I can't hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had my mic off.
Oh, yeah, I was like, we're just falling apart here. Yeah, you have to err on the side of small. You know what I mean? Like with that armor, I've seen beautiful Sabine armor. It's 2 times too big because they try to make it like Boba Fett. You know, they feel like, well, look, if it's armor, it has to cover from shoulder to shoulder, and you know.
And what's weird about that, if you do make it shoulder to shoulder, then you lose the range of mobility because if it goes too far past you can't reach the other side. It gets in the way.
That's that. Yeah, and I've printed it out. All right, yeah. I printed my Boba Fett jetpack. My shoulders are like weirdly larger than I think humanly possible or something sometimes, and I feel like my Boba Fett jetpack is too big. It's
too wide or too
scaled to my
tall?
shoulder. It's scaled to my shoulders, but I feel like when I wear it, it feels like it's too big. So, because the jetpacks for Mandalorian, that's what makes me want to do the Pinto Din. I don't want the jetpack. I just, you know what I mean? I don't want to have my whatever, what's it called? The flying circus or whatever they, you know.
Well, the cool part about it is all you would need to do is make a different back plate.
Yeah. Well, not even really. You don't have to make a different back plate. But just put those discs on.
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't want the discs on there without the jetpack unless you're.
That's true.
But
yeah. Well, that's the first thing. As soon as I get back from Celebration, I'm just ordering the soft goods. Because
from Cosplay Sky
or whatever. I just got to look, and there's like 4 companies that sell the same exact stuff, and I'll just find which one I have like a coupon or a.
Yeah, let me know when you decide to do that, and I'll order it around the same time. That way, we get it in at the same time.
Yeah, because I just gotta measure because I had one and I give it to Marty. It was too small in the shoulders for me, and I think I bought like a 2X. And the shoulder thing wouldn't fit. I couldn't zip it. It wouldn't zip up here. That's the only thing with their stuff. It's because Zoe and Safi take a medium in the Cosplay Sky stuff.
Oh, really?
And my kids aren't medium. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so. But the stuff is like, that's the stuff. Like, again, I look at the Bo-Katan stuff and ask some people. Now, if you're asking someone who does sewing, they're going to probably tell you it's not good. But if you ask someone who can objectively tell you, I don't know what it costs to sew one, but those things are. If you look on the Cosplay Sky, the Bo-Katan one is nice.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of research on the soft goods of it yet.
Yeah, and it comes with. What's nice about it is, it comes with like crappy holsters and stuff like that. But if you take those to someone who does leather, that's your pattern right there.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You know, like if you there's a guy Sable, so I forget his first name now. Kyle Sable. He does leather work in Garrison Creta, and he does really nice leather work. So if you just take that and say, look, I need this made.
Well, what I would love to do is similar to an armor party. You know how we got a bunch of people together to make the Tuscans. If we got a bunch of people, okay, so today the three of us, we're going to get together and we're going to make a holster.
Yeah.
So you've got the master leather maker, whatever. He tells us what pieces we need to make this thing, and then we get together and then make said thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking right now if I do any kind of something this summer. I still think I want a head mold, a life cast. To do a life cast party, because I do want to get into. I need to up my game on my mold and costume building, and I need a head to like, because I would love to try to sculpt the head of something. Just try to practice sculpting. It could go horribly wrong, but the plus side to sculpting is it doesn't, other than the initial block of clay, it doesn't cost you anything. If you mess up, you just redo it.
Start again.
Huh?
Start again.
Yeah. But you have to buy the sulfur-free clay or you can't mold it. And 1 pound of clay is not very much. I learned that the hard way. I ordered 16 pounds of clay and I was like, really? I can't do anything with this. So, yeah. We had someone that said, what's up from I don't know what that is. Is that, Twitch? We had someone from Twitch. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that person.
I didn't either. Diggs. Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't see Ark tonight.
Huh?
We didn't see Ark or
no. But Ark's
farmer
doing celebration, if I remember correctly.
That's what I thought he was saying the last time we got together.
Well, that should be cool.
I still think it's funny that E-girl said that she found our music.
Yeah, well, yeah. I like I said, I listened to a whole bunch of those songs because I made a second version of our intro with different music. I was going to do it as the outro today.
Okay,
it's not as good. It's not as good, but it's
appropriate.
It's a little weird, but yeah, it's. I don't know. But I mean. The whole found family thing, I think I feel bad, and I've said this before. I feel bad that people that just can't like stuff.
Yeah, and it's
like, what's like, show me with your Ray doll where Star Wars hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Or even not where Star Wars hurt you, because sometimes folks will pin it on, they'll pin it on Disney.
Yeah.
Or they'll pin it on Kathleen Kennedy, or they'll pin it on, insert the name.
Yeah.
And sometimes and I know I'm generalizing based on what I've read, but their hate for it, their dislike of it is also so general.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, and then to bring it full circle when we talked about like with us canceling the movie shoot this weekend because of rain and stuff like that. And then that just made me think like every once in a while in the news you hear director X or writer Y is not working on Lucasfilm stuff anymore. And then they're like, what? And then Reddit or one of those clickbait sites will have, this is why Star Wars is failing because directors are leaving. And I just thought of us doing this with Matt. So it was weather. You know what I mean? So I mean, I know we're not making a feature film and we're not making a real film, but there was just if there were people following the Han Solo Chronicles, and they'd be like, "What? They just canceled filming of their, you know what I mean? And what's wrong?" You know?
Well, and I mean, it would be possible for some folks to say that well, Matt obviously must hate Star Wars,
Yeah, yeah.
or Bob
Ken's not
Iger.
doing a good job as Boomer Boy.
Yeah, his shorts aren't short enough for this shoot. He's showing up out of costume, and he's not in compliance with the Ken CRLs.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I think with that and with the people that get all worked up, sometimes knowledge is not a friend.
I'm going to sound really silly by saying this, and it's okay. I just want folks to enjoy it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I want them to, and if this isn't what they enjoy, that's fine. Please, 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 for my love for you, find something that you do enjoy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it could be that one episode of the Ewoks cartoon. Watch that over and over and over again.
We got Justin with no sound or video.
And
But
no
yeah.
noise machine.
But that's where I that's where I feel sorry for people. I mean, because they could join the Battlestar. They think Star Wars costumes are expensive. Join that Battlestar Galactica costume building people. You ever see the price of that stuff? You know, a Cylon. You're gonna do a Cylon, man. You can't go. That's like the helmet's probably more than a whole TK. And
All right, gentlemen, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Justin.
Okay, so it's either one or the other. So you either see me and you don't hear me, or you hear me and you don't see me. So I figure with a podcast, it's best you guys hear me. So
Yeah. No, we were talking about found family today. Like just the notion of the foundlings in I guess would it be foundings with a small letter F? If we're like just how we found people. So like Justin, I met you. I want to say now maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but did you troop the Whitaker Center years and years ago?
the Whitaker Center. No, I don't believe I was at the Whitaker Center.
I'm trying to think which troop I did with you first years and years ago. And for some reason I was thinking it was a Whitaker Center. It might not have been a Whitaker Center, but that's what was sticking in my head. I don't know.
I have 80 troops now under my belt. I'm trying to think which one. I don't know, man. I've done so many of them. It's hard to tell. Even though I joined in 2005 or 6.
Well, you joined a year before me, I think.
Yeah, but because of the military, I kept deploying.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to actually suit up, and it was driving me nuts.
But yeah, I mean and in the military would be a good example of found family.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have met literal brothers and sisters through the military, and you especially get close when you're training for war. But then once you're in combat and you're training for convoy survivability or anything like that, you really get close. For me in particular, when you're in a vehicle and you have your gunner, your driver, usually a medic in the back, and even your interpreter, who would be in the back with us, you get to know that interpreter because they would be in the convoy with you, and they are local nationals who volunteer to help, to that way we could speak the language and get our communication across with the local nationals.
Yeah. So we were just talking about that because ours aren't. We didn't meet in combat or anything. We met at Armor Party, and I met John on TikTok, which maybe is the same as combat. No, I'm just kidding. And then Ken met in the Target toy aisle, which depending on time of year, that could be mildly combat.
I mean, it wasn't Black Friday or anything.
Okay. So
I mean, nobody was stepping on my throat to get the latest Kylo Ren doll.
Right. That was the midnight release.
Hinton, Mike, I think we met June 11th, 2010 at Wizard World in Philadelphia.
I wasn't there. You know
No?
where
Damn.
I didn't go to Wizards World.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. 2010. My kids were Jawas in 2010.
I may have taken a picture of you then at that event, Justin, because I think I was at that Wizard World in 2010
I had my Shadow Trooper.
in Philadelphia.
Yes, in Philly. Patrick Stewart was there. There's a number of celebrities that were there. I remember there was a YouTube video that popped up of this lady chasing me and kind of tapping me on my buttocks, trying to like tap my thermal detonator. She's like, "Oh, I'm behind a Shadow Trooper. Tap, tap, tap." That's one of the things I remember about that one.
Well, my first 4 or 5 years trooping, people only knew me as the guy who brought the Jawas. So if you trooped with little Jawas, that's probably when you met me.
Yeah.
Because they were like, who are you? We just, we're talking to these kids. Did you troop with Sabrak, Maul Sabrak?
Yes. That was the Star Wars in concert of July 20th, 2010.
Yeah.
And that dude was crazy, man. He was,
I didn't troop that one, but that was because my troops were also limited to when my kids were could sleep or not sleep, or I did the Make-A-Wish by myself that was 07 for the little kid in Reading. So.
Yeah, that was that guy. He wanted to get the prosthetic so he could put his horns in a little easier, and
Oh my goodness, that's
he got his name changed. His name was changed to Maul Sabrak. Like he was Darth Maul all the way, and then he just quit. He just quit altogether. Like just like as heavy as he was in, he just was like, I'm done.
He went down to South America, and I think he didn't return. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I remember he was scrolling through his phone. He's like, "Hey, I can call Ray Park right now. Do you want to talk to George Lucas?" It was like scrolling through his phone. He had like George Lucas's number. I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah,
this dude was pretty.
Yeah, he's a character, man.
Dedicated.
But what did you watch the new Mandalorian?
I did. Very, very, very pleased with that.
Yeah.
That I guess that's why you brought up the foundling thing. So
yeah. I was just trying to think of because I don't have, other than my kids and wife, I don't really have family. So most of my family, like I got.
Well, that's not really true, Mike. Don Johnson is still with us.
I do have Don Johnson. Yeah, I do have my cousin Don Johnson,
the actor.
Yeah,
of course.
I'm somehow related to him. My grandmother used to tell me that back in the 80s. She was from Missouri. So, yeah, I'm somehow related to Don. Not in any way that really matters, but I am somehow related.
Well, I was thinking about you guys last week. I couldn't attend. My command meeting went so late. And the episode of The Mandalorian last week where they had the top of the mountain. There at Coruscant. So I went back. I started watching some Clone Wars stuff, and here I found in season 2, episode 16, that mountain was there. That was the episode where Duchess Satine came to Coruscant to say that no, we don't need help from the Republic at all. We don't want any of our troops, and then they tried to assassinate her. And in one of the chase scenes, they were driving around. They zoomed in, and there it was the top of the mountain. But season 2, episode 14. Sorry, and there was the top of the mountain in there. I was like, oh, so I felt like that meme where what's his name was whistling and pointing at the camera. Oh, there it is.
Well, and it's in High Republic. I'm not caught up with High Republic, but Zoe informs me it's from High Republic too. It's a state in High Republic. So.
But yeah, I thought about you guys right away. I thought that would be a good conversation.
Hey, you're gonna take your job, Ken. You come on, got these references.
I started taking notes.
See, that's right there. That's the sign of a convert.
Yeah.
Which was last episode.
We were talking before you came back on, Justin. Just the amount of joy Star Wars gives. It's hard to understand when people say they love it and then make it a negative in their life. I still don't understand that.
There's so much of that out there. There really is so much of that out there. And the other thing I can say is that there's a lot of passion. And there are people that are passionate about it. It means so much to them. And that if you don't think like them, then, well, shame on you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's you know, I just know there's enough things in my life that I can't change. I try to keep, things. The other thing which I didn't get to when we were talking about found family, but I found this.
Where did you find that 501st survey?
This was a survey Zoe did in school for a project, and she had to do, it was like a math project, and I forget honestly what year this was, but it was probably when she was in elementary.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, I can hear buzzing.
Yeah, you hear that buzzing noise as well?
Is that mine?
I,
That's not me.
Did you hear it, John?
I hear it.
Okay.
I swear it's not me this time. I'm using the same audio device as last time. So there we go. There it went.
Here we go. Here's this is some of her survey data. I'll have to post. We posted it up on the 501st. I want to say this was. Well, here's a date. This is from 2012. She did a survey, so this was 11 years ago, and she surveyed like how many costumes they had. So it says, what was your first 501st costume? Out of this survey, almost all of them are stormtroopers.
I'm sure it is. That
Right there, and it's just funny. It's just, I don't know. I gotta somehow.
What was the date? What was the date on that?
Everything is accessible, so if someone comes down, I can show them without having to dig stuff out.
Yeah. How old is that survey?
Huh?
How old is that survey?
That's 2012 is when she did.
2012. I wonder what that would be today. And looking with how the price of costumes has really escalated, and you see a lot of people jumping in with like tie reserves or something fairly simple to build in order to get their foot in the door of the 501st.
Well, and you know what's funny is, like, in some ways stuff has gone up, but my TK and your kit was your black kit. That's an FX kit.
That is an FX. It's old school, man.
So you probably got it from Studio Creations.
Most likely, yeah. I think it was off of eBay, man.
Yeah, well, I bought mine straight from Studio Creations, and it was $700 complete. Like, it was already trimmed and everything. Came with the Velcro.
Right.
Huh?
That sounds about right.
You can get a what's a Waltz run? What's Waltz kits run now?
I paid about $700.
Yeah,
altogether for mine.
So like, because I've been 3D printing for 5 years, maybe 6. Pre 3D printing, the prices were really good. Like, you would buy a Moncal kit. When we've had this discussion on here before, Moncal kits were getting close to $1,000, and the pools were so terrible. The pools were so bad that it was hard to cut them because you couldn't find the pool lines. And then once 3D printing hit, and once the Anobis kits hit, it kind of made the prices kind of come back down. Because I think a lot of people. A TK kit is probably still one of the cheapest ones to build. Like, when you go into even some of the soft goods, by the time you buy a good set of boots and some soft goods, you're halfway into a TK already.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially with some of the European builders of the boots. Imperial Boots. I think that's a fantastic site. I mean, highly accurate, but that stuff is pretty expensive.
Yeah,
especially when you're looking at like Book of Boba Fett things, that's when that price really starts going up. I think they have a lot of Fennec Shan things. Yeah.
Well, I did Fennec for Zappy for $115.
Dude, budget Fennec.
I just bought the Cosplay Sky one, and it's good enough for what she needs it for. I think the only thing that wouldn't pass 501st would be the boots in the Fennec Shand, I think.
I don't know. There's a lot of intricate parts that intertwine, especially on her back and the chest. I mean, there's so much detail in that costume.
Oh yeah, no, hers came with all that detail, but it was $119. Like I said, the only thing would be the covers. Justin Stonefeld, his Din Djarin undersuit is from Cosplay Sky.
Oh, okay.
Like, because I'm friends with him years ago when I was looking at Din Djarin. He was like, I got mine from Cosplay Sky. I was like, okay, and it was like $130 at the time. I think they're like 180 now or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and you just cut off all that crappy armor and put new armor on it. And, unless you're an odd shaped human being, it'll work for most people. Are you an odd shaped human being, Ken?
Yes, sir. Like I'm working on that post imperial, the custom post imperial.
Yeah.
And I've got my chest as just one piece, and so the upper part of the chest is formed, and it angles down in a weird way. I can't get it. I'm having a hard time shaping it to my my stomach.
Oh yeah. Well,
Looks like I'm smuggling a beach ball.
I'm just gonna probably just have to get a girdle soon.
Some Spanx.
Yeah, I don't know who's asking. I don't know who 3 something. I don't know who that is.
They want to know how old we are. How do we make a living?
I think we're past the being picked up in the white van.
I don't know. You want my social security number while you're at it?
Yeah.
That's the joy of YouTube. Someone's trolling YouTube. But yeah, no, I mean, like Ken, honestly,
that we've arrived.
I would say 90% of what I try to do in my fitness is related to me fitting in armor.
Yeah, fitting in this armor, that's for damn sure.
Like,
I'm on the other side of that fitness cookie into my mouth.
My I think I'm probably still 20 pounds lighter than when I bought my TK.
Well, when did you go vegan? Wasn't it after you got your kid?
Oh yeah, after I went. Yeah. Yeah. So so it fits me much better. My Sand Trooper fits me much better. Now it's not what I eat. It's just I'm too lazy. Oh, maybe your audience would go up. Yeah, we don't really do this for the audience.
I mean,
what do I do for a living? We talk Star Wars at night, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I'm a retired combat vet, but yeah, that's what I do.
I'm a school teacher, and but we mainly just do this to relax. So we're not, I think we've had this podcast discussion before. If you're doing a podcast just to get numbers, that's fine. It's good, but that's not going to be very relaxing. You chase those numbers, and I'm happy with the numbers we get.
Our tens of listeners make us smile.
No, I still can't believe that we've done this for over a year, pretty much every Wednesday. I can't believe that is still.
And do you hear that sound? Do you hear that? That's the sound of my heart breaking. The fact that I won't be able to have this podcast with you in a couple of weeks because you guys will be on the other side of the world.
You can have it with yourself.
Yeah, you could always host a solo episode.
Oh, wait a minute. When are we going to be in South Carolina, John? What time?
I know I'm going to be there from about 9 o'clock to 11.
I don't know, Kent, but if we start podcasting at the South Carolina airport, we're going to miss our flight.
You'll miss your flight, and then I'll get blamed, and I'll never hear the end of it.
So if you're here, he's asking how we're fulfilling. So all of us have jobs.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, well,
speak for yourself.
Wait a minute, John. So I'm sorry, I gotta stop. If you listen to us at all, you'll realize that we have a very small attention span. John, this is the year of Star Wars for John. Like. And you've heard this before, Justin, too, but John's joined the 500 first. He's
convinced his dad to join the 100.
He started a podcast. Besides this one, he actually started a really good one that he does really good interviews and stuff like that. Best Car Bucket. And he is going to be on the podcast stage at Celebration with one of the podcast legend. It's me. No.
You have me building up for something sweet, and I'm like,
what is this guy? Podcast stage. He hasn't even have his podcast for a year.
Yeah.
Nice, buddy.
And my kid, this is her fourth time on the podcast stage.
Solid, man.
But that I badger the crap out of people too. So I'm terrible. I got I got accused by I don't want to be too mean to the 501st. I got accused by a staff member of when I was in command that I promoted my kids too much.
You're passionate about your kids. You're proud of your kids. I mean, they you guys worked hard on these costumes. They look great in these costumes, and they make other kids smile. I think that's the whole point of,
Oh yeah,
of
no, I'm
why
just
I
saying,
dress up.
if I ever got accused of not promoting my kids too much, I would think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I work in a profession where I wish more parents promoted their kids more. And you know what I mean? So
do you think you promote your kids more than Paz Vizsla promotes his kid?
I think if I was in the Star Wars universe, I would be him. Though I wouldn't let my kid get caught by a giant bird.
Well, the kid did run off on his own. I mean, come on,
My kids
you gotta
wouldn't.
acknowledge this. He's the one that ran off by the water's edge while
That's-
everyone was doing their thing.
So
I
how
can't
much?
say good parenting's from me. It's mainly my wife, but my kids are pretty. They were always pretty well behaved. Unless you listen, if you ever have Zoe on your show and you hear her rendition of some of her first troops, she makes me sound like such a terror. But when we started trooping with the girls, kids were really not allowed to troop. Like it was like frowned upon to bring your kids. So like I wasn't mean to them, but when they said they wanted to troop, they had to troop like an adult, And
Yeah.
Safi, better than any of us, Safi used to be the first one suited up and the last one suited down. The one parade we did in the Mummers Parade, one of the ones, she didn't even suit down. She wanted to wear a Jawa home. She's like, I'll just wear it home.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
I just
They
did
weren't allowed to talk. Like my kids never talked when they were Jawas. They just did Jawa stuff.
Good. It's good to be in character. Yeah, I just trooped the St. Patrick's Day up in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
On Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Parades are starting to wear me out though. Like oh my Lord, I'm hurting. I'm over 40 now, and I'm just sore as heck after I'm done doing that.
Because they don't have orthopedic cross trainers or anything for troopers, do they?
No, but I do wear special inserts and stuff for my feet. So
that's always what you think about last, though, when you're putting your costume together. Because my TK, man, it is not comfortable to walk in any amount of time.
Well, and that's one thing I adjusted for. I think I was 160 or something like that when I first got the Shadow Trooper. And over the years, you got to constantly adjust the thighs. You adjust the abdominal section kind of for that little bit of extra weight that you gain. But one thing for me was comfort and how quick I could suit up and suit down without having to utilize anybody else to help me out. That way they can help another trooper. So that's one thing in how you build, but your costumes are always evolving throughout the years. You never just stop with, oh, this is good enough or this is well enough for approval. And that's it. Yep. For me, after I get approved, I'll tear everything down and I rebuild it for a comfort value in order for it to fit just a little bit better. I've lost the suspenders. There's no more suspenders holding up the thigh pieces anymore. It's all about having a midsection that kind of clamshells around me and then using earth magnets to hold the chest piece to the abdominal on the front and back. That way I can actually take a knee and lift it up and whatnot.
I can barely take a knee without my costume. No, mine. I went to on my Sandy, which isn't approved yet. I have one of those back braces that holds mine together. Like when you're working in a warehouse. Yeah, everything hooks on one of those, and it clamshells in that.
Oh, okay.
So I gotta submit that one of these days. I wear that with the droid builders.
Okay, hey, now better time than ever. Get it submitted, man.
Hey, Justin, are you doing any troops coming up soon?
Yes, I am going this Saturday to Wilkes-Barre.
The hockey game?
Yes, the hockey game, the Penguins game. We're going up there. I think a lot of you Mando guys are going to be up there.
Yeah, there are going to be a bunch of the PA Mandos up there. I didn't get on the list yet. We were going to do a movie shoot that day. So
yeah.
It got canceled. And
canceled, Justin. So you're
I texted you about that, brother. I was like, oh man, what did I just do, bro? I double booked myself, and I really wanted to do that film with you, and but hey, it worked out. Silver linings, right?
Yeah,
The
so we'll have
force
more
works in mysterious ways.
we'll have more
It,
details. We'll have more details on that
yeah,
coming up
well said, Ken. But yeah, other than that, I have troops every other weekend coming up. So the weekend, let me think here, April 15th and 16th, I have a walk for autism on Saturday, and then another autism event on at the Philadelphia Zoo
Yeah,
on
I'm
Sunday.
probably going to do that zoo event. I'm just waiting. I don't want to sign up until after I get back from the celebration, just in case like I burn
I'm not
myself out. I don't want to cancel.
I'm not sure if that's a capped event or not.
Yeah, if it's not capped, I'm going to jump in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking I got to look at our forums to see if that zoo event's on the Mercs pages.
And I tell you what, a lot of those capped events, if you talk to the people, they'll uncap them. You know, because I just remember some of the best events I've had, man, is um like changing in a parking lot, and you know, there's a library event May 18th down in Maryland. A friend of mine's a librarian. We'll be doing that one probably.
Oh, keep me
Okay.
posted as that gets closer.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if that's a Thursday or a Friday night. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
downside. He just sent me that, and then I'll get the customary 50 phone calls about May the 4th, like teachers that I work with. Hey, can you come? I'm like, I'm teaching. No, I can't come in your classroom. I have a class to teach. You know. Um,
so this guy is asking, how do we enjoy this at our age? Honestly, to God, please explain. For me, enjoying this at my age, like I said, it's about making the kids smile, getting some money to charity events, to
yep.
different types of charities. But to see that moment in the parents' eyes and in the kids' eyes and seeing, oh my gosh, look at these stormtroopers. I thrive for that moment. Um,
Yep.
that's just me personally, especially when I'm mic'd up and then I go ahead and talk with the
Yeah. Oh
static
yeah.
burst in between. It's like, whoa, he talks, man. Like that. That's the moment that I love. That's why I suit up and yeah, you hurt. You're a little sore. You pop some ibuprofen, you suck it up, and you drive on. But I think that's why we all kind of, do our thing.
Well, and what people don't understand, there are kids that live in any community that don't have access to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when they go to their local library event or they go to something and they see really cool stormtroopers and stuff like that, for free. We don't do it. We don't charge any money or anything. It can make that kid's day or week. And the selfish me, and I've said this on this show before, the selfish me, there's sometimes I'm having a bad week, and trooping is what makes my week a little better. You know, I
Yep.
stick a helmet on. They don't know I'm an old computer teacher.
Oh my. Yeah, that's what's. But yeah,
I don't think.
that's that whole driving point.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get to a point where I won't either enjoy conversations about Star Wars or dressing as a Star Wars character or sitting down and watching one of these movies for the 999th time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are folks who enjoy cooking. There are other folks who enjoy fixing cars. There are folks who enjoy sewing. Well, this is one of the things that I enjoy, and I'm so glad to have, found folks like the three of you and some of our other friends who were able to get together and share these kind of times.
Yeah, and it's our hobby. It's our hobby is able to benefit other people, and that's exactly what this is. It's just a costuming club, and it's a hobby. Some people, they'll give you guff about it here and there, and I'll say to them, "Well, how does your hobby benefit people?" So, and then they usually hush up after that one and try to think real hard. Well, maybe I don't have a hobby. Well, get
Right.
one. Dress up like a plastic spaceman and make a kid smile.
Well, and to add on to that, I've been able to do an activity that I've been able to do with my kids since they were 4 and 6, and they're now 20 and 20, almost 20 to 20 and 22 almost. So Like, there's not too many people that you can do that. Like, my kids went through the whole time, like, and I've been my kids have made a lot of people buy Jawa costumes and then have their kids not like them because everyone thought it was so easy. Oh, I'll stick my kid in a burlap sack and don't want to play.
When you put it like that.
Well, no, it's funny because like with my kids, and these guys know, I still only have one costume. In all the costumes I built and everything, I still have my first TK. That's the only costume I technically have. Where Staffy has Jawa, Tuscan, Ketsu, 000. Zoe has like 4 Sabines, so it's just something we do as a family.
Yeah.
Well, and just like the shows aren't done, the costumes aren't done. So there's opportunities to Justin's point of tweaking the costumes that we have and or making new ones because another season comes out or another version comes out for that one character that we really like.
Yeah, Filoni made my life a living hell because
dude, come on! This past episode just did it for you. I mean. Just one little shoulder bell needs to be added now.
Yep. So now we have to have a whole nother CRL.
Yeah. Well, here's a perfect example of that is the Bad Batch. You're going now. Usually every season something changes. Now we're halfway through this season and we're through a whole nother complete costume change.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For this Bad Batch group.
Well, you can say there's several costume changes because there's the non-armored costume.
Yeah,
they're still wearing their soldier kind of gear. There's the casual on Pabu.
Yeah,
the only one that doesn't get as many costume changes, I think, is Omega.
Yeah. Now, Justin, have you ever heard of the Dad Batch podcast?
No, you mentioned that. Oh, excuse me, you mentioned that 2 weeks ago.
They're all costumers, and they just do. If you want to see some costumer magic, man, those guys they're like the professional versions of us three.
I think we're professionals our own way, man. But yeah, I see what you're saying. We do our best.
Look at
we put the L in professional.
That's the thing I have built right there.
Yeah, I see. I didn't know you had a scout, or is that just a bucket?
Dude, I don't have a scout costume. I got a scout helmet.
Oh, okay.
I got a shore trooper. I mean, I got.
You got to throw a little Ewok poo on that thing and make it legit.
Yeah, I have I have the whatchamacallit one, Ezra's. I did an Ezra one too.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I got. When you come over to get the stuff, I'll show you all my goodies.
Yeah. So I apologize I couldn't come by yesterday, but tomorrow I'm definitely down to swing on by. So
you gotta pick some better phrases, Mike.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, when you come over, I'll show you my goodies. Like, why don't you show them the inside of your custom van next?
Yeah. I got it. Well, I remember when the girls were in middle school, we had a white minivan, and they used to laugh because we'd pick them up at the park, and I'd be like, "I'll be over in the van," and then girls, they always thought that was a
stranger danger.
Funny. So
free candy on the side of it. Free armor.
Yeah, free armor party. So, yeah.
That's actually something that our garrison's really been increasing big time. We're looking to really increase the armor parties.
Yeah.
What we have found this year, and this is why my command calls have been so long, is our events. We're about to set a record for events that are coming up. But one good thing is because I really focused on the PR team big time.
Yeah.
And our uptick is we're up almost 6,000% when it comes to Facebook and Instagram. Now our recruitment for cadets is at an all-time record for getting recruits in. So
nice.
We're getting 2-3 recruits per week coming in. So we're getting all new cadets and whatnot. So things are looking really, really fantastic as far as armor parties.
Now, what's your pitch to a cadet? Like when someone says they want to join. Like,
I go on a whole rant. I love to talk. I usually start, well, what's your favorite character? And then we just get into talking Star Wars. To try to
I'm
get
in the mindset of build the costume you want.
Mm-hmm.
like keep in the back of your mind, especially when they come up with obscure costumes. You have to have thick skin if you come up with Darth Revan. You have to not get upset when little kids call you, Kylo Ren.
Oh, who? Jesse has the Republic Commando.
Yeah.
And it's the black one.
Yeah.
So that's not Delta, Omega Squad, and he gets called RoboCop all the time. Even so, that's his nickname in the garrison is actually RoboCop. But I know I get called Vader all the time because of the Shadow Trooper all the freaking time. Lately, when I'm in the Scout, it's someone called me a baby beater because of the scene with the Scouts hitting Grogu on top of the head.
Oh,
I'm like, what the hell, man?
You should carry a Grogu to punch.
I should. That'd be cool. With that,
if you want to make children cry.
Yeah, if I want to make some kids cry, that's the opposite of what I want to do.
I have an IG-11 in the garage that he could break your arm.
Yeah. Well, looking at those costumes from the Mandalorian for the Scouts, man, they look like ragged bag. The cummerbund's all saggy, and I think
they've been through some stuff.
Yeah,
and they don't have the ability to go to the depot and get updated stuff.
Yeah. Well, the Empire's hurting allegedly.
Yeah.
So
that's what came out of the costumes that came out of. I say Rogue One, that then got added into in Mandalorian, like the tank drivers and those. Remember the convoy drivers? Some of those costumes are really cool.
Yeah. So this kid wants to know where I served. Everywhere. I was in Afghanistan twice, and I was in Iraq twice. I left 2 weeks after the towers dropped. I was sitting in Afghanistan, and then I came home for just 2 weeks, got married, and then I left again to Iraq. So I was going like 864 days, and then I got deployed again 2 more times after that. So I don't want to get into too much detail about it, but
it was Well, that's I'm glad you made it back in as many pieces as you made it back in. I hate to say when someone makes it back in one piece, because then that sometimes denotes that maybe you came back without any scars, and I know that's not true.
No, I got internal scars. I did take a round, but I have my armor on, and I took 4 roadside bombs, and the last one put me in a hospital for quite a while in Germany. But I'm all right now. And so what do I think about Muslims? Salam alaikum. I love them. I think the whole that's a difficult subject to cover.
Yeah, on a Star Wars podcast.
On a Star Wars podcast.
I understand your questioning and stuff like that, but I will say if you're a follower of Star Wars and you follow what George Lucas meant, the overall theme is hope and love.
Mm-hmm.
It's redemption, hope, and love. I mean, I don't have a religion, so Star Wars is pretty much as close as religion comes to me.
And speaking of religion, you go on the Star Wars celebration. That is like the Mecca for all Star Wars fans. It is the pilgrimage. It's the Mecca. And
you went on?
No, brother. I haven't, man. I just haven't got the opportunity, man.
John has a ticket.
John has an extra ticket.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Like get a flight, man. You can fly over with us, and I'm sure there's room on the floor of the place I got. So John has an extra ticket.
I'm small, so I'm only taking up, a small portion of that floor.
You and John can get bunk beds, sleeping bags.
You might be greatly disappointed, but at least we have a roof over our head.
Stacked like cordwood in the corner.
Yeah.
When they come back to the States, I'll probably hit it up. That's probably when I go again.
I told John this, and Ken knows. It's like no other. Like it's. I wish I wouldn't have waited so long to go, because it just always seemed unobtainable and too expensive when I was even when I was in the 501st. I was like, it just seems like I could buy armor for that money. Once you go, man, I feel so blessed that I get to go this time. This time we weren't planning on going, but Zoe had a panel, so we made it happen. But
well, I think every chance that you get to go is a blessing. And I know I sound like I'm complaining, but I was able to go to Chicago for one day, and even that one day was incredible. Heather and I ran around like silly people,
Yeah.
trying to get as much in as we could. And we were, right up to the very end when they were, closing up for the day. Like, I gotta see one more thing, that person in the costume, or that artist booth, or that car in the convention center.
Here's what I got on the closing day in Chicago. I got the podcast sign.
You may not realize this, Justin, but we have a thief in the midst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got that. I got that home somehow.
Where's that? Where's that?
That's from
That's the
Anaheim.
6-foot podcast sign that was standing outside of the podcast stage.
Oh, okay.
Because people were taking stuff when they were closed down. I said to the security guard, "Can I have that?" And he's like, he looked at me like I was an idiot. He's like, "Sure." So I just took it under my arm and. But no, yeah, it's man,
It's special. There's no other accurate way to describe it.
because even like you meet so many people. Like in Anaheim, me and Zoe met more people than normal, but we went there with a plan. We went there; it was like networking for her job and her schooling and all that stuff. That was like our plan. But even then, you just meet people. Like I went through all my old photos of Orlando and Chicago to see if I didn't have Ken in any of my photos. After I met, it's like maybe Ken was in one of them.
Well, for Chicago, I was dressed like a Jedi with purple obi and sashes.
Oh,
And that was the year that Heather and I got pictures with Paul Bettany and Ahmed Best.
Oh, how great was it that he was in this past episode?
yeah, that was good.
Solid, bro. Absolute solid.
His panel at Chicago when he came out for the Phantom Menace panel, it was like standing ovation.
Good. I'm
As it
glad.
should be.
Yes, I'm glad he's starting to get a warm welcome back into the community. I think what a lot of the Star Wars fans, which we were talking about this earlier, the passion with some of them, unfortunately, was in a negative direction toward him. And it's sad to see what happened to him and where he was harassed.
And I would add to that, I almost hate to call them Star Wars fans. It was a group of people that were jackasses that claimed to be Star Wars fans, because I still think a lot of this negativity is a small but loud voice. Running the Legion, running the Garrison, if you just listen to the negative, you think everything's negative.
Yep.
Like because I don't have my phone on at work. So when I turn my phone on, I got all these things like everyone hates this. You would have thought that the last episode of The Mandalorian, people were like throwing all their Star Wars stuff out. I'm like, really? Because of the birds? I thought that was a great episode. They're going to be riding birds.
Yes. Thank you very much for saying that. I looked over at my wife. She looked over at me. She goes, "They're going to ride them." I'm like, I bet they will. That's going to be freaking fantastic coming down the line.
Yep.
And if it's not in this season, it's going to be in a future season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how fast those birds grow.
It's Star Wars, man. It's all television and movies. Kids and animals grow at whatever speed the story calls.
Yep.
Yeah, because the story says so.
And we know nobody really ever dies.
Right.
You can always come back.
So do you think Mace Windu's going to show up?
I think so. Why not? Why not? The rumors have been circulating around for how long?
I mean,
Samuel Jackson wants to do it. It's going to happen.
We've had this discussion too, is the platform they have, if they finally get everything nailed down with the volumes and running all that and the way the shows run, you can make, in the future, you could make a 3-episode show and make it profitable. Where in the past, you couldn't make a 3-episode show because you had to build the sets, you had to this and that. Now, turn on the volume, go to 10.
So with that being said, do you think the future of Star Wars is going to be with these TV shows or with movies?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
All of it.
Listen,
Okay.
I don't think you were around when the Book of Boba Fett came out. I rented a theater at Penn Cinema, and we watched the first episode in the movie theater.
I must have lost my invite in the mail or something, man. I don't know.
It was right at the end of COVID, so
It was with your Publishers Clearinghouse winnings.
Yeah.
and we just saw it, and it reminded me, because it was right at tail COVID, there's nothing like sitting in a theater with a bunch of people that love something and watching it. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true. It just seems like I don't know. The stories are a little bit better with the TV series as opposed to the movies. I wasn't a big fan of the last three flicks that came out. I don't know. That's my personal opinion, but I think as
Well,
far as these
one thing
series,
with
they've
that
hit
in
them out of
mind,
the park.
one thing with that in mind, Justin, that you get with the shows that you don't have the benefit of with the movies is you have so much room to do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure we've seen what over it's 4 episodes. We've seen over 2 hours, right?
Yeah. That's
And the season's not done, so we have so much more room to explore things or to linger in places that you don't have the benefit of in a 90-minute or even a 2-hour movie.
Okay.
And I think what they may do, and I'm not saying that they will do it, I'm just saying it's a possibility that they might pull a Marvel and have some of these TV shows that seem separate show up together in one combined movie. I mean,
yeah.
Steven on our show talks a lot about having these live action television shows on Disney Plus and then do a Battle for Mandalore as a movie.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. That just kind of gave me goosebumps just thinking about it. Something like that would be stellar.
And I think they have to bring movies back to being an event in the sense that you don't need to go to a movie to see a good picture anymore. You don't need to go to a movie to see good sound because everyone has it in their house now. Even the cheapest television and cheapest sound system, you can make it pretty decent. But if you make an event like, as simple as it's open these 3 nights, and you have someone like the 501st Mando Merch, Rebel Legion there, you make it events. Because all those movies, whether people liked them or not, I liked the new movies, but what I liked even more was watching them with people that I knew. Like the
Mhm.
one we trooped that one of the movies, and Penn Cinema gave us one whole row right there in the middle of the um, big theater there. So
And I will give you that. There was with Force Awakens, the energy in the theater and within the stands was something I had never really felt before. I mean, you could feel it in the air. You could feel the excitement, the anticipation, and to go along with everyone else's emotions. So, like that one was good. Maybe I'm just a little salty because of the last two, but and I just think they've just done so much better with these TV series. That why if it's not broke, don't fix it. Why try to make another movie out of it?
well, I think like at least in my opinion, the Mandalorian was one of those ones too that they hit it out of the park because I don't think we had an expectation to. Like the only thing we saw ahead of time of the Mandalorian was that blaster. Remember John Favreau? And we're like,
The-
oh, that's really cool. And then and they kept Grogu a secret. Like you would have, without the volume, you would have never been able to keep Grogu a secret.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well, one thing with the Mandalorian, and I think a lot of fans, this is my personal opinion. I've seen a lot of the fans were just kind of ticked off with the movies. They didn't like what was brought to us, the product that was brought to the table, and I think, in a sense, it kind of lost a lot of love for Star Wars in general, and maybe for me in particular. I was like, this is kind of going off in a direction I'm not digging. But then the Mandalorian comes out, and everything that I loved about Star Wars came back to me in that TV series, even within the first episode. It was just it really hit on every level that needed to be hit as a Star Wars fan for me.
So with that in mind, what were the things that the Mandalorian hit upon that the sequels didn't, or how were the directions that they went? How were they different?
Maybe for me, because they were regurgitating the Skywalker saga and just kind of just milking that cow just over and over. And this was maybe just something a little different, but stuck to the same Star Wars universe. That perhaps that could have been it. With me, The Force Awakens, you look at that, and the similarities are right there with New Hope. I mean, it's almost. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. It's the exact same thing.
Well, see, your daughter's younger, so I wonder if when I took my girls to see The Force Awakens, that storyline hit them. You know,
Okay.
so it meant like The Force Awakens meant a lot to. I think the first time I watched it, I actually watched my girls' reactions more than I watched the movie. You know, because they for once they had the Jedi. You know, because they had Ahsoka, but that wasn't like, you know, there's people that level up what Star Wars is more important. Some people think the movies are more important. Some people think the animes, you know, whatever. But the movies always seem to be what's most important. And watching my girls have that story that I had in 1977 when I saw it as a kid, because Star Wars clicked to me because there was a kid who didn't live with his parents. I was like, hey, I don't live with my parents. I don't have to be an idiot. You know what I mean? I could be Luke Skywalker. And then I met Han Solo, and I was like, yeah, Luke sucks. You know, but,
Well, and the other part to that idea of, you know, being without a parent with Luke, we learned that it was because of a death. With Rey, it was, at least what they showed us, she was left.
yeah.
You know, and so I think sometimes people do occasionally get caught up in the similarities, and George himself would say that it's like poetry, it rhymes. You know, so some of those callbacks are done intentionally and purposeful, because the in our world, our stories, our myths repeat themselves from culture to culture, from religion to religion. So that's done on purpose. And if we only look at the things that are the same, we miss out on seeing all of the differences. You know, and the differences are there; they're on the screen for us to see. It's just, are we willing to stop and see them?
Interesting. Okay.
And the other thing too is what's nice is Justin didn't like those movies, but Justin's not online every day saying he doesn't like those.
Yeah.
That's you can dislike. I don't think any of us here care what people like or dislike. It's how you. I was always taught if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. So if I don't like a certain point, no one's going to be able to tell what I don't like about Star Wars, because I don't talk about it. I just talk about the stuff I like. You know,
Yeah. And I'm not
costume.
really wrong to gripe online anyway and going,
Yeah.
oh, this
But even
movie
in real
was
life,
absolutely horrible. I'm never watching it. Do not recommend. 1 star. You know, I'm not going on there saying that crap.
but even outside of that, just from what I know of you and from trooping, you don't sit around and gripe anyway.
No.
You know
There's
what I mean?
there's worse things to gripe about.
Yeah, but
And you still share the joy of it.
Yes.
So there may be this thing over here that wasn't your favorite. That's okay, because for somebody else it is their favorite, and you allow it to be their favorite. You don't insult them for liking it. You don't insult the makers for what they put on screen. You still celebrate the things that you like, and encourage them to celebrate the things that they like. So I think that's one of the other really positive things about the way you present yourself and share your pieces of the Star Wars conversation.
Yep. And I've even watched Last Jedi. I watched all those like multiple times. So I can't necessarily say that I hated it. Maybe I just tolerate it. But yeah, I'm not going to force my opinions on someone else. If they like it, they can go ahead and like it. And I like my own little bits and pieces of it. I didn't hate the whole thing.
no, but he doesn't let any costumes from there in the. No, I'm just kidding.
Not in Garrison Karita.
You're not afraid.
Yeah. My only thing with that series is I don't think Luke would have went out the way he did. I don't think, and even Mark Hamill has stated, he's come out and said multiple times that Luke would not have done that. You know, he just would not have just abandoned all hope. And also, my nephew's an a-hole. He wouldn't have just abandoned him like that.
See, I think that was often misquoted in terms of what Luke said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I always thought that he was saying that's not how he saw Luke.
Yeah.
And he still showed up knowing that he's, for lack of better words, he's renting the character. So even though he's performed as Luke, he isn't Luke, and so he shows up on set to follow the lines that are given to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so as an actor, whether he would do it or whether he thinks he would do it is of little consequence. It's really down to the makers at the moment.
And it could be because I raised a writer and director. I get mild. Not Mark. I like Mark Hamill, but I always laugh. And even when we were filming the Han Solo Chronicles, I always laugh when people want to change the script, and you're like, wait a minute, we have this all set up. We walk this way. Don't change it on us.
Yeah, but we should be
Do what the
going north
paper
by
says.
northeast. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be going south.
And then when we film this next movie, I'm due to fall and hurt myself seriously because I almost did last time. So
Well, hopefully that won't happen to you this time.
no, he has some running scenes though. He wants stormtroopers chasing him. I always like people that write stormtroopers that have never worn the armor.
And I think that the place where we're going is one of the last places anybody should be running
You
with a
shouldn't be
helmet
running
on.
even if you have no armor on.
Ugh.
But yeah, no, I mean it's just nice. Like I understand that people like or dislike different things. It's so nice that we have so much Star Wars. Like if someone would have told me in 1990 whatever that we would have as much Star Wars as we have, I would have never.
Well, as much Star Wars and to be able to watch it whenever and wherever. That to me is still
That's
still
the best
baffling.
part. That's the best part right
we have
there.
these
You can
little
watch whatever
devices
you
that
want.
we can watch it on this if we want to. It's amazing.
I feel so lazy because I have VHS and I have DVD. It seems like so much work to get out a VHS or a DVD. I just press the button. I'm just, but then I went into Sticker Shock because at Chicago they ran that 2-year special for like a remarkably low price on Disney Plus, and it just ran out like a couple months ago, and I had to re-up it. I was like, oh man, But
I
it
think
is nice to have the amount of Star Wars coming out. I mean, there's going to be Star Wars way longer than I'm around, and I never thought that was,
I mean, we might as well acknowledge that we're so close to having our own Star Wars channel. I mean,
I just
every
hope that-
Wednesday we have Star Wars. We have 2 for now with Bad Batch and
right.
The Mandalorian.
I just want Zoe to move out to California, get her job with Lucasfilm, and just take me and just let me like sweep floors. I don't care. That's what I want.
Do you think
Oh man.
Disney Plus will ever get to the place where they start doing some of those? How they have the Star Wars. StarWars.com has the YouTube. It used to be Andy and
Yeah.
The Star Wars Show. Do you think they'll ever get to the place where they do something like the Star Wars Show on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I was talking to a couple people about that, and they were saying that there's internal people that want to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's and it's like it's kind of like you never thought the YouTube people would be the old people. You know what I mean? But it's the old school versus the new school. You know what I mean? Like of the mind train of thought.
Because one of the cool things about the Star Wars show is, at least when Rebels and Clone Wars was out, right after the episode or shortly after the episode, they would talk about it. They would, interview Dave Filoni, or they would interview D. Bradley Baker, and talk a little, almost like with the Talking Dead or some of these other these other shows where it's the after show where fans like us get to hear more about it and find out how it was made and find out this theme and this Easter egg that was in the corner of this one shot.
And they interviewed fans too, because they had a bunch of guys from the California Garrison. They had Road Squadron on there a couple times. They did Saber Guild people. So yeah, I mean, I hope that happens, but I just want Jordan to get season 3 of our Star Wars story because he's going to interview Safi. That's the only person Safi talks to is Jordan. Because we went up to see him.
Well, she grunted at me once at the one film set.
Yeah, but she doesn't talk. That's just Safi. But we took 000 up to surprise Jordan one time, and then she suited down, and I said, "This is Jordan." I said she doesn't talk much, but so I took her armor back to the car and came back, and they're like talking like I was like, "What?" Like I think she spoke to Jordan more that day than she's spoken to Marty, and she's known Marty since she was 4. So,
well, Marty is intimidating.
In Chewie, yes, but. Yeah, I mean, it's just I wish I could have just whispered in 5th grade me all the Star Wars that'd be in my life. Like I can't think of some of the things that have happened to me in the last couple of years. If I would have known ahead of time, Like,
Well, imagine whispering to the 5-year-old you saying that you're going to be staying up until 11 or 11:30 on a Wednesday night talking with your friends about Star Wars.
yeah. Or if someone had told me I if someone would have told me that I would have been on stage with Weird Al, that would have,
Or Weird John.
or Weird John.
Yeah.
Weird job.
Or if we get Fan Expo, John might have to come east.
I know. It's going to be weird. Traveling that far east.
Philadelphia.
It's a city of brotherly love. You got to visit.
Yeah, it's the. Did you ever hear about the hitchhiking robot
Mm-hmm.
that went across the world? It went around the world. As soon as it got to Philly, it got beat up and destroyed.
Yeah, it made it all the way across Canada, and then they dropped it in the U.S. in Philly, and it didn't even make it out of the
You
city.
shouldn't badmouth Philly. Zoe lived in downtown Philly and she loved it, and so
Didn't they throw snowballs at Santa Claus one year during a
They threw
football game?
batteries at him. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
that's what it was.
and they ate horse shit when the Eagles won a couple of years ago.
They hoop it now.
Yeah.
The one guy
That's
picked
real.
up horse shit on TV and started eating it from one of the cop horses.
Yeah. Fly, Eagles,
Man.
fly, baby. Whew.
That's Philly, man. That's just Philly people, man. They just get
Philly
robbed.
is, you're a special breed there, brother. You really are.
I don't watch sports, man, so I look out.
Look, it's nothing against the city of Philadelphia. It's everything against the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, you might not be there.
Ohioans and Pennsylvanians are natural enemies. Everyone knows this.
Isn't Ohio like North Florida?
It's Florida's waiting room. All right, at least get it right.
Now we've lost our one last person listening to us. No,
I'm
but,
so glad you're able to jump on with us tonight, Justin.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, me too. I wanted to do it last week. Man, that command call just lasted for freaking ever.
You know what? You should just have your whole command call come over next time.
Oh, that'll be great.
We could be the after party.
Yeah, just invite them to the after party, and
Where do you usually do your 501st armor parties in Pennsylvania?
Just various troopers volunteer. So we have one coming up. It's right out like an hour outside Philly, and then we have another member who's hosting one, and that's up at State College. So it's up to the member. If I'd like to host an armor party, they talk to events, then the events sign it up, and as long as there is a member of command staff or an advisor, then it can count as an official troop, and it's probably best that way. You have somebody overseeing somebody else building their armor and guiding them through it, but also making it an official event. Alcohol is not allowed, and I guess a few years back, somebody had an armor party, and I guess they got a little tipsy and they really butchered up some armor because they were just a little inebriated. So that put the kibosh on that quicker than a hurry.
we have slushies at my armor party.
Oh yeah, adult slushies, right?
No, regular slush. I don't drink alcohol. I've never had alcohol.
Oh really? Okay.
He
I don't
doesn't even eat real cheese.
Huh?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't. I nothing against it. I've just never had it. But yes, we have vegan. We have vegan cheese and vegan everything.
Sloppy Joe's.
Floppy
Sloppy
Joe's
nose.
made from
Floppy nose. Is that what it's called?
floppy nose.
Ken, you got me growing, brother.
We had what, Ken, which you've never tried. We haven't had our vegan section of the show tonight, but we made sloppy joes one time out of banana peels.
What?
How did that turn out?
It was good. It was very like when you say it, you're like, really? That sounds like garbage. But it was real. You cut them and you.
That
eat
is
it.
like garbage. That's
But
the part you throw away.
That's what it,
Yeah.
but it was good. It was really good.
Mike's out here rooting in the compost bin, be like, "What's for dinner tonight?"
Would you remember?
Oh,
Did you ever
man, I
watch
had
that
two.
old movie from the '80s, Uncle Buck?
Yeah, I love
Where
that
Macaulay,
movie.
where Macaulay Culkin whispers to his sister, "He's cooking our garbage."
Listen, everyone's always liked my food at my armor parties. I should have an official armor party one of these days. I
Yeah,
just
do
had a
it, man.
feeling about armor parties because we helped someone build some armor. It wasn't an armor party, and they tried to rake me over the coals. So we just started calling them armor parties to irritate one particular person.
Well, you can have unofficial armor parties.
No, I know.
It's just people getting together. That's all it is.
I had there was a stint there that there was like a bullseye on my back for some reason, and
No, I think it was actually right on your front. Like they
Yeah.
they wanted you to know that they were coming for you.
yeah, I don't know what I did to but
Well, one of the reasons why I was asking, Justin, is because Mike and I are working on Pinto version of Din Djarin, and from what I understand, Din Djarin can be both in the Mandalorian Mercs and in the 501st.
right.
Okay, I didn't know the Mercs had a official CRL for him already. So
Well, he is a Mandalorian.
yeah, I haven't really just stepped on their site that often.
Well, it's like I hate to sound like a 501st kiss up man, but the 501st does have the better CRLs.
Can you say that again louder for the people in the back?
Yeah. I mean, like I was looking up. I'm working on this Ahsoka, and I went on the Rebel Legion. I'm like, come on, like, just make some PDFs or something,
Well, how many years of experience does the 501st have in building those things?
No, I know, but I'm saying like I almost wish we would have get some Ugnots and just have a secondary website which is CRLs for everybody, and just color code them. Look, if you're in the 501st, go to the blue ones. If you're in this, go to this. You know what I mean? Purple means it's like 3 different groups. Because
that would be so nice.
It's just so simple. The structure of the 501st, and it is due to, you're exactly right, Ken. They're ahead of the curve because they've been doing it longer, and the structure just came so organically when they went to like the detachments helping with this, and it just built this neat thing. And I think I've had this discussion here before. When I went to Orlando, there was a bunch of us at the bash, and you could look at the people, right? And you're like, well, those guys look like IT, and you'd go over to talk to them. Oh, you're in the droid builders. And there's like these Harley looking dudes, like that look like they could like beat you to death with like a wet noodle. Oh, they're the Mando Mercs, And then there was these guys that were like, everything was like proper, like their racing shirts all matched. They, you know what I mean? Everything was organized. Oh, you're with the 501st, and then you had the guys who looked like they just came in from like the beach. Oh, you're Rebel Legion. Like every it wasn't good or bad for any of them, but
it's just amusing.
Every group had its own style, and the 501st, because of that organization of making sure every rivet and everything is in its place, the big website of CRLs got that same thing, where the Rebel Legion was literally like rebels, and no one wanted to be organized, and so it became less organized, and the Mando Mercs were worried initially about that custom Mandos and these cool weapons and stuff like that. So it just, each one took a life of their own, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, the 501st is definitely a little bit more militaristic as far as their CRLs go and their builds. And then they have their own separate one for Ohio for anybody who usually just chews on bark and drags their knuckles across the floor. That's what I usually see. But yeah, it is what it is.
John woke up. John's like, what?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Talking about the Buckeyes? What the?
But I mean, but that's why I always liked about the groups being separate. Like, I understand there for a while there was a push to like put them all together and stuff, and I always liked that variety because everyone has a different flair for what they want to do, but
it all comes down to, like I said, dressing up as one of your most beloved characters and just trying to make some kids smile and get a smile behind your mask, behind your bucket or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you can get the 60-year-old kid to smile, because that happens too. You see the grandparent trying to get their little one in the picture when it's them that want to get in the picture, with Darth Vader.
Well, look at our Garrison Carrito. We have old Sarge. He's
87, I think, right?
7. That guy. I don't know how he still does it. At least 80. I want to say he's 86.
He was old Sarge when I joined in 07.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's older Sarge now.
And he, you know what? Old Sarge, for anyone the one person listening or people listen later, he does Roman reenactment, Roman soldiers, and he came and did my school back in 08, and it was awesome. The kids loved it. Like he dressed, he had full Roman armor. He
Because it was his original stuff.
Yeah, well, no, my students thought that. I told you that before. My students, because they have no concept of history, they thought because he was old and Rome was a long time ago, that he was a real Roman soldier. So. But
I don't know how that guy just keeps up. And when he troops, we just did the Thanksgiving Day parade with him.
Yeah,
and he just walks and walks. He's had everyone else, and I don't know how he does it. I really don't.
He's first out and last in almost always.
Every single time. He's a
and
legendary trooper.
He has that custom card dispenser. It flips open.
Yeah.
Any documentary made on the 501st, he's in it somehow.
The man's a legend.
Yeah.
And if he's not in it, someone's mentioning him in it.
Yeah, no, but he's in a bunch of those, like I forget the one like Jedi Junkies was one of the documentaries. There's a couple other documentaries out there, and he's in them.
Well, Karita has some serious senior citizens. AJ, I want to say he's 72, and then we have another guy, Bart, and I want to say he's in his 70s as well. These guys, especially Bart, he suits up every single weekend. Yeah. He's out there trooping every single weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just getting older. I mean, I'm 55.
Look, it's going to be us. Let's face it, it's going to be us out there eventually.
Yeah.
At some point, I hope it's less than I am now. Like, I want to be, at least 65 pounds less than I am now.
And I figure my kids, like Safi has been trooping. She will have trooped all but 4 years of her life.
Wow, that's a crazy number.
She was 4 when she started as a Jawa. Zoe was 6.
Jeez.
And the Mandos, I'll tell you, the Mandos, they got love in my heart for the way they inducted her, though. And they hooked her up really well. So, and that's that found family. I mean, that was a whole bunch of people that never met Zoe, came to the middle of the state to give her a surprise induction,
That's cool.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of good camaraderie with all of these groups, and it's about coming together.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us come together, whether you're Rebel Legion or the Mando Mercs, or you're just some weird dude from Ohio. I mean, everyone just kind of comes together.
Wow, really? Awesome. It sounds like someone just doesn't like Ohio.
No, Ohio and Pennsylvanians, man, they're best friends. Remember?
Some lofty words coming from a backwater town in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
From Pennsylvania.
Got us there on Lancaster there.
Yeah.
Justin, have you done Aaron Scare?
No. What's that?
That's a troop it's usually the weekend around Halloween. I highly recommend when that comes out, you should try that. It's at the Aerospace Museum at not the one in DC, the one at the airport. Oh, okay.
Who the heck was there? We had a couple guys there from Mando Mercs and Karita, I think, went there.
Yeah, we couldn't do it this year, but we did it a couple years. It's a well worthwhile event because they let you in early, and what's nice about it is if you see how they organize it. I've never seen a troop organized so well with very little problems. Okay. Like they give you a schedule. They're like, okay, you stand here for an hour. You only have to troop for an hour. And they come and get you, and they have a big sign. They take you to your spot. They drop you off and come pick you up in an hour.
That's cool. Yeah, send me a link to that when we get a little closer, whenever, and I'll check it out. I'll put it on my calendar.
We should make that on put it on our list to see if the bunch of us can go.
Yeah, it's fun. It's usually, like I said, I want to say it's a Saturday before Halloween, almost always.
Okay.
So, but I think is this we got to wrap our friends and family up here tonight. Any parting words for anyone?
I have much love for Ohio.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Justin, maybe you got to be on the best car bucket, to win over that Ohio.
I don't know, man. After some of these comments tonight,
what do you feel about the Cleveland Browns, Justin? That's the question.
You know what? I wish they would get a Super Bowl win. I'm rooting for them at some point in time.
I was gonna say these walls are orange and brown, so choose your words wisely, my friend.
Look, I'm a Miami fan who lives in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so it's rough. I feel your pain, believe me.
Yeah, I feel
that.
for you.
I have no clue what any of that means.
It's just two organizations that have had a very rough time in the past 20 plus years, 30 years.
Last time I watched football, Bradshaw was quarterback.
Holy shit, you were old. That is a wild.
You weren't even alive when Bradshaw was quarterback, were you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in junior high.
I guess I had my
in the
math wrong.
60s. My dad served in the NAM.
Hold on, did you say you grew up in the 60s?
No, I was born in the 60s.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
2 years. I had 2 years of free love, man. 2 years.
Well, I want to say that I'm glad for this found family, and I'm glad that it keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
Whether it's Justin or the other members of the forces behind Star Wars that get together with us. I feel very blessed to be able to call all of you friends.
I appreciate that. Same here, man. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm going to get on here as much as I can, and
Cool.
we just
you
wrap
can bring
Star
your
Wars,
fans
dude.
down. I don't know how many people this thing will handle, but we'll max it out and see what happens.
I'll see what I can do next time. Everyone's pretty busy, but I'll see what I can do. At least maybe a PR team or somebody from one of my departments to come on by.
Yeah.
Just be prepared because our conversations don't always follow a linear path.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
Well,
I'm gonna play the outro. Now this isn't our normal outro. So if the music is weird, it's meant to be. So this is my version 3. And then it's only like a minute and a half, and then we'll sign off. So I mean I'll shut it off before the outro is done. But then we can all sign off.
Starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree, no, until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah. You know I heard that wicked rhythm. Hey, I had no choice but to get down.